but there's also the light. Live from the Schmoes No Network studios in Los Angeles, California, it's time for the fully armed and operational Schmoes No movie show. Tonight, our special guest from the upcoming movie The Kingsman, Mark Hamill. And the introduction of a new Schmoes No game, Tagline. And now, here's your cavalcade of hosts. Christian Harloff, Jimmy the Greek, Alicia Malone, Tiffany Smith, and Mark Ellis.
Hello, Schmoeville. Well, it looks like we had a little bit of a snafu up in the beginning there, but we are live. And in one, look, it seems like every single time we have one of these mega guests, something that happened in the beginning, so I guess that is a good sign. Christian Harloff here, Mark Ellis.
I had a bad feeling about this for about 7 minutes, but now I am happy to say that we are up and running and in plenty of time to get to all the exciting stuff we have today. Look, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man joining a very new universe. We have a fun game that I'm going to wipe the floor with everybody at, and we also are welcoming the greatest hero in the galaxy, Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, will be joining us on the phone in under an hour, ladies and gentlemen.
It's pretty exciting.
It is so cool. My childhood hero is going to be talking to us in person. I hope I hold it together.
Yeah, we've been prepping for it, and we are luckily, we're going to talk to the man who made this happen a little later on, the Mance Man, Scott Mance, from Profiles. Made it all happen. He'll be joining the show a little later. We're talking about that. Alicia Malone is joining us.
Oh, she's from Profiles too.
What?
And guess who's back in Schmoeville?
I'm back.
Bitches. Straight off of her role in The Kingsman, Tiffany Smith. Yes.
I've been getting that a lot. I've gotten a lot of tweets that are like, "You look just like that girl in Kingsman," and I'm like, okay, I think I should chop my bangs.
Well, hopefully you're going to get it a lot more because Christian and I have seen this movie. Our review is up live on the YouTube channel, and it is fantastic. And I'm not just saying that because of the guests we have coming in a little bit. I loved watching this movie. I think Christian loved it even more than I did, if that's possible.
The comic is fantastic. If you haven't read it, it's amazing. Mark Millar worked on this and knew it was going to turn into a movie, so it's set up in the best way to make a movie.
But see, here's what's upsetting me already, though, is that, look, we have one of you guys, we have none of you guys, and then all of a sudden, who do we get on the phone? Mark Hamill's going to be calling in, so now all the ladies show up.
I just have to say, I didn't know that Mark Hamill was coming on. I text Christian and I said, hey, guess what? I'm back next week. And he was like, oh, well, we've got a full show. And I was like, hang on. All right, well, I'll come for as long as I can, and then I'll just sit on the couch.
But she's also, then the second we heard about this Spider-Man thing, and we're like, we got to talk to Tiffany about this. Are you kidding me? So Tiffany's going to be here to talk to us about Spider-Man. We're going to listen to all the stuff that we can hear your opinions on Marvel, where it's going to go, who should play Peter Parker, or if it's Morales.
Me, who's both an expert in comics and Star Wars.
No, but you're going to be a badass expert in the fact we can cover the 50 Shades of Grey review that we did.
Oh man,
so glad I could help.
Exactly. We could talk. You have seen The Kingsman yet, or you haven't?
Tonight. I'm seeing it tonight. After this.
But you see it. But there's a couple other things that you'll be great, I think, at the tagline game too.
Yeah, maybe.
Look, I'm going to win the tagline game. So you guys are all fighting for second place. This game is right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, you know what else is in our wheelhouse?
What?
The news.
The news.
That's right. Ken Knapsack gonna hit the news, and we are going to get into that. Then we'll get into some Spider-Man stuff. All right, let's hit it. Ready, JT? The news.
I'm Ken Knapsack, and these are your Schmoes No headlines, brought to you by schmoesno.com, your source for movie news, reviews, and clues. Spider-Man. Nothing but fucking Spider-Man.
That's it. That's
mic drop.
That was the news.
He literally left the studio.
He left the building. Yeah, he left.
There's so much more news than that.
He left the building.
You know, I love Kenny's commitment to his little comedy skits because he actually left the recording studio after that. Look, we know Kenny gets fed up. He had a long day. He had a long week at work. So if the news wasn't as long as it usually is, that just gives us more time to talk about what he said. Spider-Man.
And Ken will be back with the news, not next week, but in 2 weeks from now. So don't worry, but it will come back. But yeah, let's get into the Spider-Man thing, man, because it's crazy.
Massive.
When it dropped, it was like, I mean, in our circle, you knew it. Everybody. Even Alicia, who's not into the comic book movie, your phone was going nuts when that thing happened, right?
Oh, yeah. I got so many tweets about it. I got lots of messages. And I think it's great because this is what the fans want. finally do it in the right way.
That seems to be the consensus, is that everyone was. There are a select few who maybe wanted to see Sony try, and I say select few because they probably are 4 of them waiting outside of Sony going, can we please have Spider-Man 3? But if you don't know what happened, Spider-Man is coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, he's never really been a part of it, actually. So this is the first time they're going to finally introduce him. Mark, how are you feeling about it overall?
Well, when I got the news, it's so funny the way that our society works now is that anytime I heard the news, actually, from one of our writers on schmoeville.com, Alex Welch, texted me, and he's like, dude, Spider-Man is coming to MCU. And so then, I'm doing my thing. I'm watching college basketball in the nude in my apartment by myself, like a normal day. And I have to check, like, Twitter, and I got to go on Facebook, and I got to make sure that this is really a thing and not a rumor. And it became a thing so quickly because this came straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah. This wasn't like somebody leaked this or somebody leaked this. Marvel made the announcement. They're like, hey, we're really excited, and the way they put it is that Sony is in ownership of Spider-Man still, which they are, but that now they're going to have a hand not only in their own movies that are going to incorporate Spider-Man, but also in the standalone Spider-Man films that will be Sony's.
Interesting how it works, right, with all the different studios and the different rights, because for someone like me who didn't grow up reading the comic books, I always pictured Spider-Man as a very separate identity to the Avengers and everything else, but then he was always part of that. So it'd be great to see him mixing with Iron Man, maybe Captain America. Maybe.
I don't think it's a maybe; it's a definite.
It's a definite. Now, I just have to say for Alicia, I love the fact that though it's not her jam, she still wants to know a ton about it, and she's still really excited about it.
I was texting Tiffany all about it, going, what do you think they're going to do? Tell me.
Well, Tiffany, so you heard the news. Obviously, you went bananas when you heard it.
This, for me, was inevitable, honestly. Like, you knew this was going to happen. The fact that the last Spider-Man did not do very well, and being a comic book reader, Spider-Man has been a part of the Avengers, and kind of that, hopefully, we don't actually have to fill it in with somebody else. It will be Spider-Man.
Hopefully, you say that, but I'm sure Chadwick Boseman doesn't feel that way.
Well,
he was. It looked like.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to. I think they'll still use him. I don't think they're going to change their entire format of the films, but I think they're going to utilize him a lot more. My ultimate dream of what would happen would be Spider-Man is in Civil War. His identity gets found out. He dies.
Who does?
Spider-Man dies.
They're going to kill Spider-Man.
Yes. Spider-Man dies at the end.
People.
Listen.
And Morales.
Miles Morales is the standalone first movie with Donald Glover. That would blow people's minds if they actually did that.
It's a good idea. There's no way in hell it happens. Just because there's no way that they're going to, because and I think the point was made. I don't know if we made it on AMC. I'm not sure. I remember it being made somewhere here. And I agree with it. Is that the problem is? Most of the movie-going audience doesn't know who Miles Morales is. You do.
Here's the thing. When Miles Morales became Spider-Man, it was not just within the comic book world that people became aware of that. It was huge. It permeated everything.
It was
in
huge,
our business.
But I would stop short of saying everything. I think if you put my mom, the lovely Mrs. Ellis, and you said, hey, who's Peter Parker? She'd say Spider-Man. You said, who's Miles Morales? She'd think it's the mailman.
But do you want to see another Peter Parker story? Like, if he shows up in Civil War, do we want to see like that backstory of him again? Like he's like, I got bit by a spider. I'm Peter Parker.
I think what they're going to do is they're going to be very clever about how they reintroduce Spider-Man, a new Spider-Man that's not going to be played by Andrew Garfield. Okay, so you're not going to get that full movie backstory that you got previously, but there is going to be shades of that. Maybe it's told in a flashback. Maybe it's something else. What's exciting to me?
Well, I also say why waste Miles Morales? Because here, I think you waste him that way because
you waste Peter Parker too. You waste both
them both because think about it, Tiffany. If you have Peter Parker come back that everyone knows who Peter Parker is, and he comes back in that first movie, and then in the first standalone film is Peter Parker. You establish him for a while. They don't want to just have Spider-Man hold on a second. They don't have just like 4 or 5 films. They want him for a long time. So if they have this actor, let's say whoever they bring in, say it's Logan Lerman, right? And they have him for 5 films. And then that's it. Then they can say, you know what, now it's 5 films. His contract's over. Let's go cast someone now as Miles Morales, get him for cheap. And now we've teased this guy already. We've introduced him more. And you set it up more than just saying, we think you know who that is because your friend knows comic books. I'm
going to tell you. Go ahead, Tiff.
I just think that because we've heard so much about the Avengers lineup being changed so much after this movie, I think that it would be smart for them and for Sony to start a blank page with the new Spider-Man afterwards. I don't know if that's actually going to happen because it obviously would be a lot to cast Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and then be like, actually, you're only going to be in 2 movies and then we're going to kill you off, which would kind of suck. But how, like, so many fan geeks' minds would be blown.
I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen here, okay? This is exactly how it's going to go down. Is it Spider-Man? I think that there's going to be a post-credit scene in Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
As early as May, you're going to get some sort of tease to Spider-Man. And then the Peter Parker Spider-Man is going to be coming into Civil War. He's going to get his own movie. He's going to come back to the Avengers, the Infinity War Gauntlet, whatever, part 1 and part 2, and then everything explodes. Everybody dies. It's all gone to crap. And then, after all of that, I'm going to wheel my ass out of the old folks' home, and I'm going to go see the Spider-Man reboot that has Miles Morales in there.
No.
Yeah, well, let me
You're going to wait till you're a grandpa to get that?
That's how old I'm going to be.
No way.
Let me say, I've been doing a lot of research on this today because that's one of the questions for movie fights. And it's the championship round.
Yep.
And Alicia Malone took the belt a couple weeks ago. So.
And this is one of the questions, and I'm battling Comic Book Girl 19, so good luck to me.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
So I've been reading a lot, so I now know a lot about Spider-Man.
My advice, fight dirty.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Jason Inman from Movie Fights, who's on DC All Access now, we were talking today, and he was saying that he's like, the end credit scene, he tweeted this and it got retweeted so many times. He hopes that it's J.K. Simmons at the end.
That'd be great.
I was
Just
hoping that
yelling,
too, yeah.
Parker, get me a photo of Ultron.
Yeah, that'd be funny. That would go
because you don't have to cast Spider-Man yet.
Yeah, well,
you get him back.
I think you're going to get Spider-Man in Ultron in the post credits.
You don't have to see him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's why you put him in a. It can be anybody. You can be a stuntman. You put him in there because you can also do what they did for the first Avengers. There were two, I believe there were, or I forget which movie it was.
Multiple
Yeah, there were two ending. There were two post credits in
scenes.
Avengers. The first one was Thanos, and the second one was the shawarma.
Yeah.
So you can do two again, and the first one be whatever it is, and at the very end you see just Spider-Man swing through, and the crowd would go
Yeah.
The
wild.
place would go bananas. And if you're Andrew Garfield, you feel a little bit like your character in The Social Network, where you had this great thing, then all of a sudden you get like 0.0001%.
He also like crapped on it though himself.
Yeah.
He deservedly so. He's like, look, I want to protect myself in here because I think nobody would say he's the problem with either the Spider-Man movies.
Because that was his childhood dream, and then he got the short end.
And he was great with the fans. He was great at Comic-Con. He was awesome on the mic when he was talking about Spider-Man. Here is, I think this was inevitable anyway, though. I just didn't think it would happen this early. I think that if Sony never got hacked, and if Amazing Spider-Man 2 was brilliant, it was awesome, and it was just him versus Venom, the whole movie, what everybody wanted to see, then we would still eventually have Spider-Man coming into the MCU because you hear all these things about everybody wants team-ups now. Yeah. Everybody wants the X-Men to team up with Inhumans, and those are two different studios. Everybody wants everyone to be friends. It's what Patton Oswalt railed about in Parks and Rec when he wanted the Star Wars universe and the Marvel universe and the DC universe all come together.
You would do with your toys when you were young, right? You'd mash everyone together.
When you were playing like He-Man and G.I. Joe and Star Wars and stuff, you guys were off playing Barbie or House or making cookies, whatever girls do when they're kids.
Excuse me?
Did you mix genres?
I was digging into eating dirt.
I don't know that I mix genres. I think I was a separatist.
I
would always do because I was doing crossovers way before Marvel was doing it. I'll tell you that.
I was separate but equal.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just because I'm learning about this. Was there ever a time in the comics when both Peter Parker and Miles existed at the same time?
Yeah, only like every other week, Alicia. Jeez. Next question. No, that's a great question for Tiffany because I have no idea.
No, I don't think so.
It was always one or the other.
Yeah.
Was it the same costume or is it a different world?
Changeover was, I want to say, like a couple of years ago. It was recent.
But was it the same universe?
Yeah.
Where Peter Parker died and then
Ultimate.
That guy
It's
is
Ultimate.
He's wearing Spider-Man's costume?
It's
he like
Marvel
finds
Ultimate.
it?
I think that it's black.
Like Venom black?
No, it's like red and black.
Yeah.
I saw some pictures and he had black there and then red.
I knew all this crap 15 years ago. I really did. I knew all
Here's
this stuff.
the thing, though, that I think is really interesting, and so many people are getting behind the Donald Glover casting, but I don't even think it has to be Miles Morales. That's the thing for me. We kind of saw it. We're seeing it with Michael B. Jordan, Fantastic Four. Do I think that it would be really cool for them to cast someone who is of some ethnicity?
Yeah.
Not Caucasian.
Yeah, because you look at the Avengers lineup and you're
well, and we're getting Black Panther, but there was this awesome art piece
now.
that this guy did that was the Spider-Man suit, and it was basically a love letter to Spider-Man all over the suit, and it was talking about the fact that anyone can be Spider-Man. He's one of the only characters that his entire body is covered, so it could literally be any person in there, which I think is really cool. It could be Cody.
I mean, there's some ethnicity on the Avengers, you know, like Thor isn't Caucasian, he's Asgardian, and then Hulk is a green skin guy, so that
true.
counts too. But I think it'd be a bold choice if they went a different route with Spider-Man than we're expecting. Because right now, Christian and I were talking on Hiding Frank this morning on 95.5 that like we think that it's probably, I think Logan Lerman would be my front runner to play Spider-Man,
Fury.
and yours is the kid from Kingsman, right?
I'm thinking the kid from Kingsman would be great.
Taron Egerton.
Yeah, and then there's the other kid from Maze Runner that's been thrown out there a lot.
O'Brien.
Dylan O'Brien and Lerman are the two that have been thrown around there the most. I think all three of those guys, any one of them, I'd be happy with. There's not one of those guys that they got
Logan's
cast
great.
that I would say, oh man.
Well, Logan really proved himself in Fury because he
Absolutely.
can hold the screen with Brad Pitt.
That's a good point, but also
can hold the
his
screen
acting
with Robert
chops in
Downey Jr.
general. He showed it, I think, in Perks of Being a Wallflower,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah,
absolutely
true.
showed it again in what was he did this movie with Lily, what's her face, Lily Collins. And it was this underrated movie.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I'm talking about?
was it Stuck in Love or was that
Stuck in
something else?
Love.
Oh, yeah,
Not
I like
Stuck.
Stuck in
Yeah,
Love.
they were-
Where's Scott Mance? I want trivia right now. I'm taking down.
Logan Lerman was great in that movie, and he's a guy. He's got a lot of chops. I think that the Maze Runner kid he's got to prove himself a little more, but
He's got a fan base.
he might be able to do it in that movie.
I
And then
also like Jack O'Connell.
Well,
he's a little too old, I think.
No,
for
he's
Peter.
1 year older than Logan
Really?
Lerman.
Seems older.
weird.
That Anton Yelchin kid too. He looks like he could be Peter Parker, but I think in real life that kid's like 38 years old. He just
the
looks
other
young.
thing with Logan Lerman that I feel like works is that he can play awkward, but he's also so adorable that you see him getting the supermodel who lives next door.
Yeah.
Like you get him getting the
He's
girl, and you get
relatable.
him being that awkward as well, which I think a lot of times is missed.
He does
with
the
Spider-Man.
wide-eyed innocence really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Optimism. Mance is Spider-Man.
Yeah, the Mance Man's got a name too. JT, put on the Mance Man's mic.
My name, Josh Hutcherson from Hunger
Oh,
Games.
PETA, the cute little type.
Yep.
I'm not into that.
He's like Logan Lerman. He's a good actor.
He's a
and
good
he's got a
actor.
big fan base now because
Fair.
of Hunger Games.
There's two reasons why.
And he's good looking enough, but he's still dorky enough that he could be a good Peter
is.
Parker.
There's two reasons I don't like it. One, because he's PETA, and everybody's going to associate him
Yeah.
being PETA with. He's got the big friend. There's another
PETA
reason
with PETA.
he's the
But he's
size
a
of he's
supporting
the size
role.
of a basketball.
But the other thing is, I think one thing we're missing here about the MCU universe with the Spider-Man movies is, correct me if I'm wrong, but Disney gets him in one film. It's just one movie. It's
Well,
not a whole
right,
bunch of
right.
films.
No, because
just to
that's a
relaunch
great
the
point.
character into the Sony films.
No.
Sony still
No,
owns creative control of the
yeah,
character.
Wait,
Yes.
wait.
That,
But wait,
yes.
hold on a second. Because this has been going around for a while, and I'm glad you brought that up, because here's the thing. They're introducing him. Yes, Sony's got creative control, but they're introducing him into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're not going to they can't just make another film and say, oh, we want to make whatever we want to make, because whatever they do, it connects into Marvel's universe. So Marvel's not going to say, well, because we connected this, we've already established this great thing. You guys have done such a bang up job lately. Do whatever you want now that you're part of the universe. They're going to go, no, you have to do this. And they also say that there are other Marvel characters that, whether it be Thor, Tony Stark, whoever, can show up in the standalone movie.
Right.
So it's going to be that he shows up. It's not just that he's going to pop into one Marvel movie. He'll pop into more
But
Marvel
Sony
movies.
will put out the movies.
Correct. He'll put out other movies too, but he's part of the universe. They are a part of the Marvel team.
Yeah.
That's why don't be fooled by this Sony has creative control. Ish.
Here's the interesting part, though, too, is that 2017 is when the Spider-Man standalone's supposed to come out, right?
Yeah.
So what the heck? That's fast for them saying we're going to change the Marvel movies. We're going to do a whole new standalone. I mean, I feel like this is getting announced for us really late,
They
and there's
pushed a
been a
few-
crap ton of stuff behind the scenes.
They
going
pushed a
on for
few
long
dates
time.
back, and I think that what they're going to do, look, this is how I interpret it, okay? Is like, let's say that I'm the little kid on the block, and Christian's the big kid that lives down the street. I own my Spider-Man toy. That is my toy. But when I go over to Christian's house to play, he's going to tell me what we're going to do with that Spider-Man toy. He's going to dictate who the
You're in
villains
his
are,
house.
what the storyline's going to be, whether I come over to his house or he comes over to my house. He's the one that's running the ship, but I still own
But
my
what
Spider-Man
about,
toy.
what about when you take your toy back to your place?
Then
I'm still going to be looking over your shoulder going, don't screw it up.
And
Because we just had a nice toy line. We had a lot of fun. Don't mess it up with your shit ideas.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say.
Also, how the heck is casting going to happen between all those people?
Well, another question is
Already
this:
looking at people.
does this new Spider-Man movie coming out in 2017? How does that affect the Venom movie? How does that affect the Sinister Six?
Big time. Because
Are they still doing those films?
Originally,
I haven't heard
when
it.
we talked about the news we did a video on it. I said, "Hey, Sinister Six," and I waved goodbye to it. And then there was Sony says they still have plans to do it, but don't be fooled and think that they're still going to do it, because they can't do it the way they already thought of, because that would tie into the Andrew Garfield one. That clearly isn't going to happen anymore.
Right.
So they're going to do a Sinister Six can be it can be a good movie.
And it can come after the Solo Spider-Man
Correct.
movie
And
with whoever villain
and
they
Feige
choose.
and everybody else can say, okay, look, because the other thing is, too, don't forget now, because he's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you can have elements of characters from the Sinister Six pop up in the Avengers, pop up in somewhere else. And another point that we made on our video was one of the main things, Batman is like the main figurehead to DC. Marvel had Spider-Man. That was their guy for a long time. He was the figurehead.
In the early 2000s, that was
in the
dude.
movies now.
Yeah.
So in the movies, that hadn't been the case that they don't have him. Now that they have him, don't you think that they're going to build up whoever this actor is, sign him for 10 pictures, what they're going to do, and once Phase 4 starts, who do you think's going to be leading the Avengers in Phase 4?
That's what I'm saying.
Downey starts getting older, and all these guys getting older. The young guy. They're going to cast the young Spider-Man, the guy they get for 10 pictures, and that guy is... So, yes, Sony's going to have certain controls, but they're going to have to pass things, say, Marvel, is this cool that we do this now? They have to. They saved face by that press release.
So crazy because when you... we've talked a lot about Star Wars and the fact that from the beginning, all of the pieces have been working together. The books, the comics, the video games, the movies, the TV, the cartoon. I mean, Rebels.
Right.
But this is so different because it feels like there have been so many cogs moving outside of this, and now it's like trying to shove one back in. There's going to be a lot of sorting, a lot of awkward moments, I think.
I'm going to be so happy when all this political red tape is done and finished and we just get to enjoy the movies. And I think it could start, again, I think we all here want to see a post-credit scene, an Easter egg, if you will, in Age of Ultron featuring Spider-Man. What a mind F it would be if they introduced the new Spider-Man in that post-credit scene. If there's all rumors about, this guy's going to play him, no, this guy's going to play him, then the post-credit scene rolls, and then all of a sudden, look who it is, Shia LaBeouf. We'll be playing.
We'll transition away from that. All right, so that's the Spider-Man news. Now, for you guys, if you don't know, if you're new to the show and first time watching, we will take tweets from you guys. Hashtag #SchmoesKnow. Make sure that you also, if you go to Facebook, there's a Facebook group, Schmoeville with an exclamation point.
Schmoeville.
If you go there, you obviously just ask to join. They're all run by the fans, by the way. We're not a part of it. It's all run by the fans. Go there and do the live chat there. And there's obviously the YouTube chat there. Have a conversation and let us know. What do you want to see within the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Spider-Man? Do you want to see more standalones with just Spider-Man and his villains, or do you want to see more of the crossover? Let's hear some of your ideas.
And give us a name. Give us a name. Who's going to be cast as Spider-Man? Give us a name, or you're going away for a long time.
That's right. Now, moving on, there was a trailer that you and I were talking about today that I want to get Alicia's thoughts on here. Judd Apatow's new movie.
Oh, Trainwreck.
Trainwreck came out. They both the Red Band trailer and the regular trailer came out.
And the Green Band.
And the Green Band. What do you think, first of all, of the trailer?
I just saw the Green Band version, so I haven't seen the Red Band, but I like it because I love Amy Schumer. I think she's really relatable, especially towards women. And she has great sense of humor, and I like what it was saying about the dating scene. There's that great moment when Bill Hader calls her after they've slept together, and she's like, "Did you butt dial me? Were you supposed to call me?" Because that's what you experience, especially in places like LA.
I totally agree. I mean, she's a very talented comedian. I think she's a great writer too. And she came up with this story, and then you see all the comedic talent that Judd Apatow has, and he's known for.
And I love that he supports new people and he brings them out like this. It's great.
Absolutely, and the fact that you see all these little comedian cameos, like for instance, seeing Dave Attell play a homeless guy as he's walking. I don't know if you guys caught it, but Dave Attell is one of the funniest comics to ever live. The fact that he has a small role in that, the fact that LeBron James and John Cena are both going to be having parts of this movie, and it looks like it's going to work out well.
John Cena, that was a great moment in the trailer.
Yeah.
It was like,
if you see the Red Band trailer is even funnier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
so did you see the trailer yet?
I did. I mean, I think I totally agree with what you're saying about Judd Apatow bringing in fresh new talent, because I think when there's comedic films, there tends to be a habit of making the same movie over and over again, and the jokes getting old and the same jokes happening over and over. But he's very smart about saying, okay, yeah, I'm good at this, but I want to bring some fresh blood in. And so that's what excites me about this one, where you're like, you kind of never know what funny moment you're going to get. You walk in and yes, you know what Apatow does, but at the same time, because of all the new talent, like random people like John Cena, you're saying, you never know what's going to happen.
No, LeBron and everything too. No, like for me, I agree with the Judd Apatow, the feel of the movie. I hope it's not 2 hours and 45 minutes like every other movie. But I actually, and Bill Hader to me is just becoming one of those breakout stars.
Great
Skeleton
to see him
Twins,
as
he was
romantic
great.
Lead as well.
He was good in Eleanor Rigby. I think that he's a really good actor, and I'd like to see him do more. I don't like Amy Schumer at all.
Really?
Why?
Because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the main reason why. I think that she could be fine. She could be a good writer or whatnot. My problem is, and maybe it's a personal thing. I don't know. I'm still trying to get over the fact. I know that it was a roast, but when Steve-O from Jackass was on, it was right after Ryan Dunn had died. And she made a joke about it looks like the wrong guy died or something like that. I get it's a roast, but come on, man, show some fucking class. And she didn't.
One joke.
No. That's not a joke. That's your friend.
One major
That's not
misstep.
a joke. That's a major misstep. Your guy's friend had died, and it just, like I said, it stuck with me.
That. Yeah,
and I don't believe that. You know who should have been cast in this movie? And not only because we know her, Eliza Schlesinger would have been a much better cast for this role, I think, because she, to me, is someone who I believe is picking up all these dudes, and the guys are like, oh, I kind of want to stay. She looks like someone you pick up at a bar and be like, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, see you later.
2006 Harloff, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm just saying.
I understand your points.
I think I could say that about many leads, male leads in comedic movies.
I think so.
In reference to the joke that she did at the roast, I think that, it was totally in poor taste, but I think that sometimes, and I'm not saying it's right, but you're trying to make a name for yourself and you're trying to get, like, what Gilbert Gottfried did when he made a 9/11 joke. Every comedian that you and I have ever known, including us, have made a joke that didn't pan out the way that it's supposed to. I'm probably going to do it next week on TV, okay? So you've made mistakes, and so I'm not going to penalize somebody too harshly for that. I think she's a good comedian, and I think she's a fantastic writer. So to your point about like who you hook up with and stuff like that, I think she can play that. I think that she is that kind of girl that you meet at the bar, and she can go from a 9 into a 5 the next day. You know, and I like that dynamic because sometimes you hook up with a girl and then you leave and you're like, man, I can't believe I did that last night. Then you start thinking about her and you're like, you know what? I wonder what she's doing tonight. And I think that's what this is.
So not from a 9 to a 5, you mean a 5 to a 9?
She can go from a 9 the night before to a 5 the next morning, then back to a 9, then all the way down to a 4, then up to a 10, when you beer goggle.
Dude, that's every person in the world.
I've had a lot of missteps.
By the way, real quick, I want to tell Schmoeville out there too, I know you guys are anxious to call in and everything too. Please stop calling in for a little while because we're going to have Mark Hamill call in. We want to make sure he can get in. This is the way the phone system works.
Get off the phone.
Do not call in until I will let you know when we're going to open it up to Schmoeville.
Yeah.
Please don't call in until around I will let everyone know when to call in because we want to make sure that Mark Hamill, it's why you're all watching right now. You want to hear him. So
have you ever heard of the concept of other people, me being that?
Yeah.
Can we talk about a really great trailer that dropped this week?
What do you got?
Aloha.
I thought Aloha was great. We talked about an AMC movie talk today. I think John Campea was the only one who didn't really dig it, but I actually really liked it. I thought that it set it up. Yeah, what did you like about it, Alicia?
Oh, I love Cameron Crowe because he is able to capture a pop culture moment. He's able to explore human relationships. He always has a killer soundtrack. And this cast is incredible. Bradley Cooper with Emma Stone, with Rachel McAdams, and also Bill Murray in there too. Alec Baldwin,
and Danny
the way
McBride.
it opened was really funny. Danny McBride, John Krasinski.
Yeah.
He's able to bring out something unexpected from his actors, and that looks like what it's going to be.
My only issue was that I saw I watched the Trainwreck trailer, and then I watched the Aloha trailer right afterwards. And to echo Christian's sentiment, I was like, this is a combined 5.5 hours of cinema. This is like 3 pee breaks between these two movies, but I got it. The material I saw, I'm really intrigued in both of them.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I was going to say material that I'm not intrigued by was that we got 50 Shades of Grey coming out this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. The reason I bring that
I got
up,
a lot of tweets about you could barely watch Nymphomaniac. Did you go see 50 Shades of Grey?
great point. But you know what's funny about that? And explain why you could.
Well, first of all, I didn't read the book, but I audibled it, which is super awkward, let me just tell you.
I bet. Who read
Because it's
it?
a girl reading both parts, so she like drops her voice when she's Christian.
Hey, I'm spanking you. I hope you like it.
That's so
That's
weird.
not how
contract.
How about George? What if George R. R. Martin walked in?
Oh, God. That would be so
Tiffany,
awkward.
huh?
Stop it. Stop. It creeps me out.
Paddle? Huh?
Slap me with that dragon tail.
Stop. So I saw the movie with all of you guys.
Yeah.
And
It's tame, right?
the soundtrack
Soundtrack's
might
great.
be the sexiest
Right?
part of
It makes
that.
Nymphomaniac makes that movie look like a Disney film.
Yeah. I mean, for a movie that's supposed to be really pushing the boundaries, it feels pretty tame.
Can I say something though? Not everybody out there, and I go back to the Mrs. Ellis reason, is that my mom doesn't even know Nymphomaniac is a movie. She still thinks it's a phase her son went through. Okay,
right.
She is aware of 50 Shades of Grey. So when somebody sees 50 Shades of Grey that hasn't seen that 4-hour sex, odyssey that we sat through,
I didn't see
is 50 Shades of Grey. There's a lot of
R,
nudity
right?
in it. Yeah, it's R.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
It's a hard R.
There's a lot of sex toys. This movie shows a lot of potential in the sex dungeon because you see all this weaponry
And the contract.
It looks like an underground cave to the Expendables zone with all these different instruments of torture in there. Maybe he uses like a whip or like a little leather thingy, and that's pretty much it.
Haven't we all?
No, but I'd like to hear more.
I'm joking.
If you guys have seen the review, by the way, it was Mark, myself, Alicia, and Miri Jedikin, and we did the review. And
all in the Schmo cave.
Alicia was hysterical in that. You watch some of the puns that she throws in, but then she's just like, she really kinked up when she started talking about that red room, and it was like, now we're talking.
Like now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
But I understand where you're coming from.
You should have been sitting next to her during the review. I was like, just keep talking.
I'm not. I do like to say things for the shock value of it because I have such a sweet voice and people don't believe it.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
But
do.
I do think that the idea and the issue of BDSM could be explored really interestingly in
Agreed.
film. We saw that with Secretary.
I was going to
where
say,
they
you brought
went
up Secretary.
into
That was a great
the
call.
psychology of it. The main problem I had with 50 Shades of Grey was that it almost felt abusive because you didn't understand why she was going back for more. She had no self-respect.
Right.
You understand why he wants to be the dominant one because they mention his background and then what he went through with a previous relationship. But as for her, it's like, why do you like him?
Amy Schumer would be in
But
that
it
dungeon
also
all
going
day and all
back,
night.
And then to not even go there, even with just more, they didn't have to show things. I know it's
Right.
an R, it's
Right.
not NC-17, but they could do more. Secretary was R as well.
Right.
I just feel like it made it very apparent while you were watching it that this was Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah.
You
It
really
was-
could. If you played into it and you said, oh, there's the Bella.
He's a vampire.
Oh, I got it.
And this is
Yeah,
true,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
started that way.
50 Shades of Grey started out as some person being a fan of Twilight to the point where they decided to write their own story about it.
And she wrote it on her iPhone. She'd never written anything before. Her husband's a screenwriter, and I always wonder what he thinks.
I got a question.
He must be
I got a
like,
question. Does he take her out for dinner? He's like, honey, love the idea. We're going to lose the vampire and the werewolf.
Right.
And we're going to keep Seattle. We're going to keep
And you know that
Seattle.
thing that we did last night? Put that
Lots
in
of
there.
rain. Lots of rain.
You know that crap I ask you to do that you say no to?
But
Put that in.
You know that mask? The mask that I got you for Halloween. Put that on there. Yeah, that
There's
works.
one fantastic scene, though, in the movie. I
one?
really thought the scene over the contract was
That was good.
really
It was
good.
funny. Yeah, it was good.
And
On
I
the
wish
strength
that
of
more
Dakota
of the
Johnson's
movie was-
comedic chops.
Yeah.
But I think that both of them in that scene, they're like, that was the moment where you felt intense chemistry between the two
Right.
of them, where you were like, something dangerous might happen here. But all of the other times, it was like
No
the
chemistry.
chemistry was definitely held by Dakota, and
Yeah,
It
and
was.
I understand that it's a poorly written book, so you can't expect
Yeah.
much from the film, but you at least expect chemistry between the two leads.
True. And you
Come
know,
on.
you know
Yeah.
what's also the thing is that what gets me upset is the fact this movie. First of all,
Will
just
make a lot of
right
money.
around the table here, how much do you think it'll make opening weekend?
60 million.
Oh, I'm going high. I'm going $88 million.
I'm gonna go.
Don't you dare
82.
price is right me. Okay.
I think everybody here, I say between 65 and 70 for sure. And a movie like Kingsman,
Kingsman is
Secret
gonna
Service
get
is going to make
overlooked.
maybe 15.
Yeah.
You think Kingsman will make 40? I hope Kingsman makes 40.
Everybody go see Kingsman, by the way.
That's the whole
We're going to
point.
remind you that later in the show, too.
I'm going to remind you right
Valentine's
now
Day.
is that there's a movie coming out. If you are not aware, and one of the reasons that we're talking to Mark Hamill is Kingsman Secret Service. It's by Matthew Vaughn. This movie is fresh. It's another collaboration between Vaughn and Millar, and it is a movie that knocks you off of your seat. It's insane. It's in the best way possible.
And it has everyone talking about what's his name,
You.
the young guy.
Taron Egerton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Taron Egerton, and
Colin
obviously
Firth is an
Colin
action
Firth,
star.
Yeah, which I remember talking to him at Comic-Con, and he was like, they came up to me and they were like, "So we've got a role for you," and he was like, "Nobody wants to see me as an action star."
Yeah,
and he
we
worked really hard to do it.
And he makes it work. Ellis, we just saw this the other day. We've been raving about it. What did you like about it?
I thought that it was such a clever mix of it was cartoony and it was over the top, but it still fit within the way it was telling the story. And how Matthew Vaughn directs this film, there's never a dull moment. You never are bored or once you're thinking you're looking at your watch. This movie engages you from the start. It combines so many different elements of different genres of film, and it's just fun. Like, I go to the movies. That's why I love Guardians of the Galaxy last year. It's just fun.
It's fun. It's brutal in a way that you can't take your eyes away from it. Even when it starts, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but it starts with just a song that I'm like, oh, all right, cool.
It locks you in.
It just locks you in, and then these things start happening, and the action and the collaboration again between Vaughn and Henry Jackman, who did the score for X-Men First Class, they work together really well, and that's going to be like his Giacchino or his John Williams. You can feel that. And one of the things that I love so much about this movie, you take elements of what he did with First Class. That's in there. You take, there's definitely a James Bond feel. There's an Austin Powers feel in there.
Kick-Ass?
There is a Kick-Ass feel as far as the action goes, as far as how ballsy he was with Kick-Ass and what he did with Kick-Ass with the language. And
what's it rated?
It's rated R. And it should be, because there are parts. There's one scene that we've talked about at great length.
Oh, it's so violent.
It's so violent, and in a way that you said it goes away from any cartoony. I thought it's not as much cartoony. I thought it was very graphic novel-y.
Isn't it interesting though that
But
they're both
but I thought that it transferred over well.
they're both rated R, and 50 Shades shows nothing. It just shows you how sex
shows a lot of boobs,
sex
Alicia.
is rated.
There's a lot of boobs.
There's a lot
Some
of
other stuff.
There's a lot of sexual content.
There's near cock.
Don't get us wrong with us talking about it being tame. It's like,
but I just
there's
find
shots
it interesting
where it literally is like her getting cuffed, and it's like her nipple is like most of.
There's
the screen.
shots where it's like, if this dude coughs, we're seeing ball right now.
Yeah, right at NC for near cook.
My point is, it shouldn't be female body, shouldn't be R, more than someone getting shot in the head.
Listen, that's America.
That's America.
It's the silliest.
I don't want my kids seeing a female's breast until they are old enough to shoot a gun.
That's harmful.
Right.
That's harmful. But see them shoot someone in the head.
I still don't understand that whatsoever. But I agree with you 100%. That movie, the 50 Shades of Grey.
And you couldn't show the male body, but you can show the female body. Male bodies.
Well, they're doing it more like
so dingle.
You can't show
the body. You didn't show. They didn't show any bottom half on either of them.
Oh, they showed his butt.
Back. They showed both their backs.
I disagree with Ken, and I was sure we were getting a full hog shot in here, because there's one in Wild Things. there's one at the end of Wild Things.
It's an automatic NC-17 in most situations.
No. Look at
Wild Things
Gone
and
Girl. Gone Girl.
Gone Girl was quick.
It
still
wasn't like this.
What's
Shame.
Any Given Sunday?
Shame.
Any Given Sunday.
Shame, yeah.
Protected the youth of
But I think it also is like, you can't show it in sexual situations, but you could show them walking to the shower.
Like when he knocked over a plant by turning right.
You can show a guy's cock as long as he's shooting a gun at the same time. Right. That's the rule.
Exactly. America.
But I want to talk to the Man's Man about this, because he's on the scene here. Let's talk about with Kingsman. Obviously, we know 50 Shades of Grey was, regardless of how shit the writing was and the cartoon cat wrote it, the fact that it was such a phenomenon is why it sold so many tickets, and we know that.
Right.
Is there a way that Kingsman can become a hit, because it doesn't have any big stars? Colin Firth is respected, but not necessarily a draw. This kid, we don't know him yet. I think we will. He's a star.
Yeah.
Sammy Jackson.
Sam Jackson. Yeah. But Sam Jackson's in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Is there any way that Kingsman can surprise a lot of people and do some serious business here?
Well, yes, because all the ladies are going to go see 50 Shades of Grey. You know, a lot of them will drag their husbands or whatever, or their boyfriends.
Valentine's Day.
And what'll happen is the guys will be like, "Hang on, I'm going to go get some popcorn," and they're going to go in to see Kingsman.
But they're not going to spend money on it, though.
But you see, what Matthew Vaughn did with Kingsman is what he did with Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
He rejuvenated a genre. Like the spy genre, you know, Spectre's coming out, and Skyfall was a great James Bond movie. And, you know, you have the Austin Powers spoofs. But watching Kingsman, it's so exhilarating because it is so stylish and fun, and it's smart, clever, it's sexy.
It's a shot of adrenaline.
It is absolutely a shot of adrenaline.
I like when you get to watch movies.
It was also inexpensive. So if the movie does well enough, you could get a sequel.
That's the beauty of it, though. And that should show you, and like going back to your points that you make on this show a lot, is that when you see a movie like Kingsman, you hope that it makes enough to get a sequel, because it isn't inexpensive. And to do a movie like that looks like it costs like $200 million, because it's
Matthew Vaughn's great at that.
He's so good, and there's so many things that I want to see him do.
I just also have to say, it's not just women, one, that are going to see 50 Shades of Grey, and it's not just dudes going to see Kingsman, because I know a bunch of girls who are asking their boyfriends to go see Kingsman on Valentine's Day, not 50 Shades.
Exactly.
So I don't want it to be this, girls are going to go see 50 Shades and boys are going to go see Kingsman.
Well, we get into Antonio Lopez says everybody in Schmoeville is going to see Kingsman. Thank you, Antonio. Now,
rock on.
This is the sad part of the show here, because we've got to say, we're going to go to break, and we're going to say goodbye to Tiffany this week, and then make sure you follow Tiffany at Tiffany's Tweets.
I'll be sitting and listening, though.
You're going to listen to Mark Hamill's going to be calling in very soon, guys. So again, keep the lines closed. We are going to go to break. It's myself. It's Mark Ellis. It's Alicia Malone. Tiffany's going to be on the couch. We got Ken Knapsack over there, the Mance Man, the whole crew. Be back in a second.
Hey guys, Maria Menounos here, and I want to share my newest book, The Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, with you. Basically, every woman always stops me and asks me how I lost 40 pounds. So I decided to put it all in one book. Everything I did to lose 40 pounds step by step, and how you can too, is in here. I did it with no time, no money, and no willpower, and now I'm going to show you how to do it too. You can pre-order it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, wherever books are sold, and it's out June 3rd. So I hope you guys love it. I hope it helps you in your weight loss journey, and please, please tweet me and update me on your progress at Maria Menounos. Thanks.
What's up, Schmoeville? It's me, the Wild Man, Josh McCouga. You guys know me from the podcast and Wild Man TV, but did you also know I have my own talk show? It's called Between the Sheets. I bring on comedians, TV personalities, adult stars, and we talk about everything, but mostly sex. So go to my YouTube channel, The Casual Mafia, subscribe, and see every episode of Between the Sheets. We done? Yeah, I'll be right there, sweet.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah Stratton. I'm here with my wonderful co-host JT and Finstock. And we want you all to tune in for our show. We show on Mondays box office breakdown for the Popcorn Talk Network. We talk about all the weekend's numbers, all the big movies. What else we got, JT?
We break it down, not only the numbers here, but we do domestic. We have a great game with foreign titles that Finstock runs, which is hilarious. This is your one-stop spot for entertainment and news.
I got this Jennifer Lawrence story if you guys want to hear it really quickly.
Of course.
Yeah, none of your stories are quick. We have 20 seconds, guys. So I need you all to subscribe on YouTube, download us on iTunes, and, of course, watch us on Mondays.
Poof.
Stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, screenwriting, radio, acting, professional wrestling, love, life. Ken Knapsack, the producer of the Schmoes Know podcast, has failed at all of these things, but his friends haven't. So join Ken as he makes his wonderful friends your friends, including some of your favorite Schmoes Know characters as they discuss life, the universe, and everything on The Knapsack Files. Available on Stitcher and iTunes. Hashtag The Knapsack Files to join the conversation.
Hello, Profilers! Welcome to Profiles with Malone and Mance. Every week on Profiles, we celebrate and spotlight the greatest filmmakers, actors, and actresses of all time.
We count down our 5 favorite films. We have little trivia, quizzes, special guests calling in. Basically, if you are a film geek like us, this is the show you need to be listening to or watching.
This is where we get to geek out about movies and have fun and learn something in the process. Make sure you join us every single week with fun trivia. We have special guests calling in. We even sit down with special guests on camera. So make sure you go to iTunes and subscribe to Profiles with Malone and Mance. Rate and review us. That is very important.
And you can see these beautiful faces of ours at youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network.
Go Profiles with Malone and Mance. Woohoo!
All right, Schmoeville, we are back. It is the Schmoes Know Movie Show. It's myself, Christian Harloff.
Hi, ladies. Mark Ellis here.
And the lovely...
Who the hell is that?
Sorry, I'm still producing. You can grab my headphones if you want, Alicia. Yeah, Ken Knapsack. Hi, how you doing?
Ken Knapsack from Jedi Alliance is going. How do we not talk? You talk to Mark Hamill. You got to have the pit boss here to ask a question to Mark Hamill. You kidding? I wouldn't do that to Ken. So, in a little bit, Mark Hamill will be calling in again. Schmoeville, do not call in until it will. Again, we're going to take phone calls a little later. Just hold back. Don't make any calls.
Don't touch that dial.
Mark Hamill, and we're going to be able to talk to him about Kingsman. We're going to ask him some questions about, I don't know, this movie's got coming out in December.
What's that other movie? That space thing?
It's a Joker in space. It's going to be a lot of fun when we talk to him. So, Ellis, when we found out that Mr. Hamill was calling in, how excited were you?
I mean, you want to say that this is something for my inner child, but it's not. This is for who I am as an adult. Yeah. This is my entire life. This is the guy that I always looked up to the most out of anybody on screen, on television, radio. There's nobody that I looked up to more in my life than Luke Skywalker. Right. And the way that Mark Hamill has not only portrayed him in the 3 films, but the way that he's just been such a champion of the franchise and so giving back to all the fans and everything. It's cool to see somebody at that level who doesn't have to say a word or give back at all because he's already this icon. To see how cool he is. Like when he pops into, he's got a great sketch on Saturday Night Live that he did. He was great when he popped into The Simpsons. He celebrates this character. He doesn't run away from it. He embraces the fact that he is and will always be Luke Skywalker. Yeah. And that means a lot to me and all the other fans out there.
Yeah, and Ken, how are you feeling about it?
Well, yeah, I echo the sentiment. We talked on Jedi Alliance how much you love the character, but over time, somehow that character amazingly got overlooked. But that's the hero of the galaxy.
That's the guy.
And what better man to embody that hero, the guy who seems to genuinely enjoy it. Even going back to his Muppets appearance in like 1978, he put all his energy into being Luke Skywalker.
That's right.
Muppets.
That's right.
And I'm very happy of all the people that have come back, the band back together for Episode 7. Thrilled that everyone's coming back, and it was great to have Han Solo. I didn't think Harrison would, but I am glad that Mark Hamill is getting the opportunity to shine again as Luke Skywalker.
I'm so happy you said that because he's the one guy, like, it is absolutely fantastic that they're getting everyone back. It is great, but you could have done if Harrison was like, "Nah, I'm not going to do it," and even Carrie Fisher was like, "I'm not going to do it." It doesn't hurt as much as if you couldn't get Luke back because Luke is the transition into the Jedi Age.
Skywalker.
He is the one because we know at some point he's going to be the guy that trained whatever Jedi there are out there, if there are any, which I think there will be. He's going to be the Ben Kenobi, and he's going to be so strong in the Force. It's a 30-year period, so there's so much you have to have Mark Hamill back. And the fact that he is back, and there's so many different, this is what I want to ask him when he calls in, too. There's one report back in like 83 when he was sitting down, and they asked him, George had pitched
this video of that.
Yeah, a trilogy long afterwards where he would play in Obi-Wan. And then there's other interviews as years went on to where he was like, I thought the character was gone. So I want to see at like what point in his head he's like, I wonder where Luke would be if it was up, you know what I mean? Like, I
just want to ask him what he's doing later. If we're going to Buffalo Wild Wings, do you want to come hang out with us? I mean, it's just it's going to be a thrill. And I didn't always have the calm demeanor that I have now, guys. Mark Ellis had a temper on him a while ago. And when you get these kids to come up and say, "Who's your favorite Star Wars character?" "Oh, mine's Boba Fett." Are you serious? Are you serious right now? Did you not see the movies? The guy, it's not the rise and fall of Darth Vader to me. It's Luke Skywalker being a hero.
Well, there's so much. There's absolutely so much.
I just peed a little bit. Sorry.
I wish we had him for an hour, but we will. We're going to talk to him pretty soon. We'll ask him all these things. And by the way, if you guys don't know this as well, Jedi Council. Coming back, AMC, we announced it today.
Show, or?
It's a great show, and it's going to be one of the best Star Wars shows out there, and it's coming back really, really soon. Right. Look for updates on that on both my Twitter page, my Twitter account.
To be fair,
check out AMC.
Both you guys have great Star Wars show. Ken has Jedi Alliance, which you can find on this very network. Christian has Jedi Council, which is coming out soon on AMC. I have my own Jedi show it's me and one young lady, and it's in my apartment. And they come over. We have a few Coors Lights, and we be Jabba, she be Slave Leia. We can switch roles if you want. It's a fun time.
Well, Tiffany Smith also has a show far, far away.
She plays Slave Leia in my skit.
That's very nice. Well, she's got a show far, far, far away.
I didn't see you there. Sorry, babe.
On Geek Nation, that's another. And Mark Hamill's son, Nathan Hamill, is a big fan of that show.
How did that news hit old Harloff's ears when you found out
Nathan Hamill was
a fan of your show?
Well, it's funny because he
was on the other foot.
Because I think Tiffany had. Can we turn Tiffany's mic on for a sec?
No, she left the show.
She did. So, Tiff, you had already known Nathan beforehand, right? No, you're on now.
Okay. Yeah, I actually had met Nathan through Jenna Bush before.
Okay.
And so we talked about Star Wars fandom, which I still always think is the coolest thing when it's someone's kid who's a fan of the franchise their dad was in.
Kid.
Yeah. And so when we started doing Far, Far Away, I kept trying to get Nathan to come on, and he was like, I just can't, because I'm going to say something I'm not supposed to say.
Yeah. I don't think he really loves the camera as much as he likes to just be a fan of it.
Well, and it's like, I wouldn't want to be the kid who goes in and says something that I'm not supposed to say about my dad either.
Right.
But he does occasionally send us awesome emails and texts asking
great one about Stormtrooper.
questions.
Yeah. He's a really good fan. Actually, when I found out that Mark was going to be calling in, I wrote and because I thought Nathan put a word in for us too.
Yeah.
He's like, no, dude. It was all the Mance Man.
Yeah, man.
Scott Man.
The Mance Man.
But Nathan did tweet today.
He did.
Yeah.
He absolutely did, and he's a fan. So if Nathan, if you're watching, thank you very much for being a fan.
I don't want to we're going to ask some Kingsman questions, and I think what's awesome too is Mark, after Jedi and everything, went into one of the most respected voiceover careers around.
Oh man!
And for a long time, the general public wasn't aware of that because he's so good at his job. I'm glad that he's got other. You got the Joker.
Tiffany has the Joker.
I maybe wasn't wearing Star Wars today, but I did come with my Joker on.
You did. You absolutely did.
And obviously, he's worked on camera since then. I mean, his great appearance in the Jay and Silent Bob movie, and the Sushi Girl movie and everything.
Right.
But to be in Kingsman, which is hitting the waves and making big waves this weekend, I don't know the guy, but as a fan, you're like, I'm so glad he's got the recognition finally coming.
And to be
behind the scenes.
To be honest, Kingsman is a 20th Century Fox property, and so when the lights went down at the screening Christian and I were at, and you hear the drum roll, and you know that this guy's in the movie, then when he comes on screen, you get a little bit of juice. You get a little bit of, hey, that's Luke.
For an entire generation of that fanfare, you just think Star Wars. There's
Absolutely,
no separation.
yeah.
It's true, and when we were watching Kingsman, and he's got a small role, but it's still the second he shows up, you're like, whoa. The second he shows up, you know that it's him, and it's something we can get into when he calls in. But it's you have, because Matthew Vaughn was rumored to be the director of Episode 7 before JJ was. So
was it your choice, Vaughn?
Listen,
I know you're a fan.
Right now I said Matthew Vaughn to me, and I know, and you can go crazy on it and go bananas in the chat room, and I don't care. I'll say it anyway. Right now, he has surpassed Nolan for me as my favorite director. Matthew Vaughn is a guy that I just have so much fun watching his movies. I'm always invested in the way. Like if I made movies, I'd want to make movies like Matthew Vaughn.
When we turned the camera on, when we heard about the Disney acquiring the rights to Star Wars, and you and I went home and we filmed that video, did you say Matthew Vaughn is one of the guys you want to see direct the movie?
I hope I did.
I think, because I don't know if I said JJ. I probably said Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember who I said.
One of you said, wouldn't it be great if JJ got it?
I said it on our podcast.
So, on the podcast.
It was a prediction that I hopefully made.
If you watch the video, you can see me thinking it.
Yeah.
You could see the wheels turning.
Right.
JJ.
Right. So yeah, I think that he will be doing a Star Wars movie eventually. He even commented on it recently. But I wonder, because of all of that, if there were early meetings and if he met Mark Hamill, and he said, listen, I'd love for you to be in the movie, like I wonder how that all happened, like, because you assume at that point from when this was filmed, he was already set up to do The Force Awakens, and it's not like, hey, we'd like you to audition for this. He's like, I don't have to audition this. I'm Luke Skywalker, Mother F. So it's like, so he,
you know think he wears that shirt?
At this point, I think he does.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, this week there was an awakening in Schmoeville, and for good reason. When we announced who our guest was this week, our fans went crazy on Twitter and all forms of social media. Welcome him in. He is the star of The Kingsman, which comes out this weekend, and you know him in the galaxy as the greatest hero, Luke Skywalker from Star Wars. It is a pleasure to welcome to the Schmoes Know Movie Show, Mr. Mark Hamill. Mark, how are you doing, sir?
Hello, Schmoes.
Yeah! Oh, man, Mr. Hamill, it's so great to have you on the show. Thank you.
Welcome. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the program. I want to start actually with the Kingsman question, because Christian and I saw this film earlier this week, and when we see you on screen, you're doing a crazy accent. It's a nutty action scene that you have that is the rest of the film. How much fun did you have making this movie?
Well, you saw the film. I mean, I think it works the way I actually did a little homework, and I came to your website and I watched your review, and I agree with everything in it. And,
how cool is that?
My face is so red right now.
Oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever.
Well, You know how I sort of fell into this in an odd way because I was contacted by Mark Miller, and as you know, I'm a big comic book buff myself, so I was thrilled to get the call and was wondering what was on his mind. And he said he wanted to use my likeness and my name in a comic book he was writing called Kingsman: The Secret Service, and he was describing it to me. And again, he's very engaging, very witty, very fun, and you know what it's like when fans get together. You just talk about everything you loved as a child, from Ray Harryhausen to King Kong and all of it. We were hours on the phone, but when he got around to telling me what it was that he wanted from me, as I said to him, I think it's odd that you're calling me at all, because as a public figure, you know, if they want to make fun of me on Saturday Night Live, they don't have to call and get my permission. It's just, you know, fair use or whatever you call it. But he said, well, I thought it would be awkward given the fact that I kill you on page 8.
You made it to page 8. That's an accomplishment.
And it was one of those, did not see that coming. But the plot device was that basically they were hostages held by some unknown enemy that in a Swiss chalet. I'm tied to the chair, much as I am in the film as Professor Arnold, but I'm Mark Hamill, and it's in issue number 1 of this comic book, and I urge you to read it because it's wonderful in its own way. I mean, you can see the origins of where the screenplay developed from that, but to make a long story short, when it came to, he asked me, by the way, would you consider playing yourself if this ever goes forward as a film? And I said, well, you know, of course. I'm a big fan of yours, and I can't remember if Matthew was involved or not at that time. If he was, yeah, I think he was. Yes, he was, because I eventually went out to lunch with Mark, and you know, had been a huge fan of not just the Kick-Ass film, but you know, when he was involved in Lock, Stock, and some of the early British films. What is it? Lock, Stock, and Three Smoking Barrels.
Well, Layer Cake also, yeah.
Yes, there you go. And you know, really, you look at every opportunity to work with people that are good at what they do. Well, but when I read the script, I mean, I just thought, wow, how are they going to do this?
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, it's totally a full throwback to those over-the-top, high-spirited, exuberant fantasy blends with reality 60s spy films, you know, when they were, you know, like when I was a kid, Sean Connery and Goldfinger. It is hard to top that in terms of gadgetry and just sheer outrageousness and just that kind of adrenaline rush movie making that makes you makes you love movies in the first place.
Well, you say that, and it's you hit it on the head there with the adrenaline, because what Matthew Vaughn does as a filmmaker and the writing and that scene, the opening scene that you're in there when you're tied to the chair, I'm so fascinated because, you know, when you see it, the way it plays out.
Absolutely exhilarating. And mind you, without any spoilers, being someone who's tied to a chair as a hostage, you get to observe everything in great detail. I mean, if I wasn't in the shot, or I was partially obscured, I was, you know, it was, listen, this guy, it's a tour de force for Matthew Vaughn. There's no question about it. It's just off the charts thrilling, and as you pointed out, this young guy that they found to play Eggsy, Taron, is phenomenal. I mean, again, if this pretends to be the future for me, where I would play small, obscure character parts in movies this good, I'm all on board, because the truth of the matter is, you know, if you're around long enough, you get less and less interested in doing things that your heart aren't really, you know, you're not really in it for anything other than, say, a paycheck or to be seen. And I just lucked into this one, I guess.
Yeah, listen, I think it was a little more than luck there, because for you, I think you can tell even the way they shot you when you put it on there. They were like saying, "Guess who is here?" and you just felt it when you're on screen there. And when I'm looking at for Matthew Vaughn, and I just said it right before you called in as well. He's on top for me as my favorite director is out there, and I know that before actually J.J. Abrams was attached to direct The Force Awakens, that Matthew Vaughn was a guy that was heavily rumored for a long time. And my question to you is, do you think that, with how many films Disney says Star Wars will be coming out with, do you think Matthew Vaughn would fit well into the Star Wars universe?
Oh, God, there's no question about it. Are you kidding? I mean, all people have to do is watch this film, and they'll be dying for him to do one. There's no question about that. I mean,
is he a fan?
What I loved about what was wonderful to find out about him is how easy-going and fun to be around he is. I mean, with the intensity of his movies and the sort of insane, over-the-top, just garish and brutal storytelling that he relishes so much. He could be a crazy person. He could be Sam Peckinpah, where he's drinking whiskey out of the bottle at 7 a.m. or who knows.
Right.
And then you find out he's just so much fun and very knowledgeable, and somebody who loves movies like we all do.
Right.
So, but very unpretentious, easygoing, open to ideas. Now that's something that I think is spectacular because you want to feel like you add something to the mix if you're going to come play this guy, and he is open to ideas, and I was just sorry I didn't get to do more, because once I got there, Sophia Boutella, and I mean, I don't have the cast list ahead of me, but Jack Davenport, oh my God, he's on screen for less than 5 minutes, and you go, this guy could carry a spy movie all by himself.
Yeah.
That Jack Davenport, he's Nigel's son. A very prolific and brilliant character actor in his own right. But the top to bottom, I was just, oh my God, it was paradise, Then you go back to the real world and you clean up your dog after your dog in the backyard.
Well, Kingsman comes out this weekend, and then there's another movie that you're in coming out a little bit later this year. As a kid who grew up, it's
Am I in that?
Mr. Hamill will see you now.
I will be honest with you. I grew up, 30% of my childhood was spent thinking that I was Luke Skywalker. In my adulthood, that number's gone down to 25%. Talking to the man who played him, I've always wanted to ask you, towards the end of Return of the Jedi, when you know that your time playing this guy is winding down, it would seem, I want to know, just in your character research and getting into that guy, where did you see Luke Skywalker's career taking shape after Return of the Jedi ends? Is he still training Jedi? Does he still have adventures? Is he just cracking beers with Wedge, talking about the old days? Or what's his current state 5, 10, 15 years after the end of that film?
Well, part of the answer to that question involves what I thought of the script to my final chapter, which really surprised me, because the way episode, I get the numbers mixed up.
It's
I
6.
say 1, 2, and 3 for us.
I'll help you out.
Not.
It's
but
6.
The middle one for us indicated that Luke would be terribly conflicted and possibly giving in to his darker impulses to achieve short-term goals. Now, I had no question that he would redeem himself at the very end, but I thought, as dangerous as Empire was, that George would go in the direction of me betraying someone and maybe even letting them be sacrificed before I realized the error of my ways, Ebenezer Scrooge style. Mm-hmm. So I was enormously misled. I mean, I was completely wrong on that assumption, and it took me a very long time to reconcile my opinions about the material and how it should be dealt with, and what the reality was. It wasn't an easy journey for me. Now, having said that, you step back and you say, okay, if this is what he wants, what's the best way to accomplish his vision? You put your own opinion aside and get down to the business of reading that screenplay and figuring out how it should be reflected to your best of your abilities to serve the writer and the director. And that's the case with all these pictures. Same with the new one. I have to tell you that over the years I've been fascinated how the student becomes the master, and all of the people that loved those films as they grew and became older and wiser and more experienced have such a ownership of them in a way that I have relinquished. I had no choice. It wasn't like I decided I was going to do this. I just realized that it resonated with people on a level that I had never anticipated, and so much so that much of their thinking and their philosophies and lifestyle choices, and I mean, I don't want to overstate it or get pretentious, but it was so much deeper in the DNA than I ever imagined, not just only in the pop culture zeitgeist, but in the humanity, the people that you meet on a day-to-day basis. I mean, it's just breathtaking. You go, wait a second, I got to pinch myself, because as an actor, if you had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it was over, and you put it in perspective in your life, and you go on with your life. And that's always been the deep chasm between me and the whole subject of those films, all of them, and the books, and all the ancillary material I included, games, you name it.
Well, it's funny you bring that up with the games now, because what they had once Disney had bought Star Wars now, and all these games and the comics and the books, now all that stuff is official canon. So like even this, and you yourself being a big comic book
official canon.
Every comic book that comes out now under Marvel, every novel that comes out now is canon. So like, for example, this you said, being a comic book fan, this Star Wars comic that just came out by Marvel, Luke Skywalker story, even Path of the Heir of the Jedi, which comes out in March, that's all canon, and his backstory now for Luke. Like, how do you do you use any of that as research? Do you talk to Leland Shee or any of those guys?
Has any of this stuff come out yet?
The comic book has come out.
Any post-Disney canon material come out yet?
Yes, the post-canon Disney that is canon right now is A New Dawn, which is a book right before Rebels. You also have
that's a comic book?
That's a book. That's a novel. The two novels, and then you have Tarkin, which is a novel by James Luceno, same guy who wrote Darth Plagueis.
Okay, so far two novels.
Right,
and then there's a TV series.
The TV series, which is Rebels, and Clone Wars, the comic. that's also canon, and then you have the comic books.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Wait a second. Clone Wars ended. Are you talking about a comic book version of Clone Wars?
Well, the Clone Wars, the one that ended, that Disney and Lucasfilm both announced that all that stuff that happened, even though it was before Disney bought it, that's all canon.
Well, see, I'm not familiar with any of this, and I see what I don't know is it's kind of like the Crisis on Infinite Earths with DC, where you reboot and change everything, and you say, okay, there's no more Supergirl, you change the rules and say, now this is what it is, and you're bound to disappoint a lot of people that had their favorite characters from all the incredible. I mean, there's so much more material than the original films that it's incomprehensible to me. And I don't follow it. I really don't know what's going on. I mean, I find out years later about Mara Jade, and I'm married, and there's an actress who plays her at conventions, and all of this stuff. I mean, it's just absolutely mind-boggling.
Well, now Luke's single again.
I went to one of those gatherings of Star Wars aficionados, and there were people that I knew from filming that played characters that were in masks making appearances, which is tremendous for them. I mean, but who could believe it? I was the guy in the walrus mask or whatever it was. It's like I say, it's one of those things. I just recently had nieces and nephews over, and they saw the Monkeys TV series for the first time.
Wow!
And
you talk about canon. I mean, there's some backstory with the Monkeys too. So
no. But what struck me, because I mean, it just occurred to me, how similar the experience was that you take this casual job. You see, these guys were hired to play this rock and roll band. And like any other actor in pilot season, you're going out for this, for that. You go out for 50 things before you get one thing. And if it happens to land on your number, who knew that you would do something casually that would define your life for into eternity? So I mean, I was just saying. I sort of relate.
Well, no, I mean, you brought up the Monkees, the second best TV band behind the Partridge Family, which I know you also made a cameo on that I saw randomly one day.
Well, listen, I would consider Kingsman more of a cameo with the Partridge Family. First of all, it was only 23 minutes long, and I played Susan Dave's first boyfriend, and I got to kiss her. So
there you go.
Well done, sir.
Boy, she was just, I mean, she's still beautiful, but my heart would race anytime I even looked at her in those days. She was just breathtaking.
As a fan, my heart is racing right now. And before we let you go, I'd like to ask you one more question about the discrepancy in direction when you talk about a guy that like George Lucas, because you had a conversation with J.J. Abrams on the Jon Favreau program Dinner for Five, and you guys were talking about how, and I guess you made the point that George was never really an actor's director. And so going into the J.J. Abrams directed Episode 7, how is that different from the way George Lucas or Kirshner or Mark Hamill would direct you? And the fact that J.J. is a fan, it's pretty much like I'm directing you in a movie. How does that play out?
Well, that's interesting because that's something I do recognize, that this is the first of any of the titles that will be helmed by the fan generation. Now, Larry Kasdan is along for the ride, but in terms of the co-writer and the director, it's the first from the fan generation. And I hate to characterize George and caricature him as someone that, is broadly not an actor's director. It's more that he is instinctive, so that when he casts someone in a role, that actor or actress is so close to what he wants that there's not a lot to talk about. I remember now, I went out for American Graffiti, and I never met George. I met Fred Roos, the casting director. And later, when I saw the film, I said, the closest I could have come to being in that picture was probably in Ronnie Howard's part. Even though I would have loved to have been Charlie Martin Smith's part or Paul Le Mat or so many of the people in it. I mean, Harrison's in it. I mean, he's hilarious in that movie. He made me laugh out loud the first time I ever saw him on the screen. But I realized I was just wrong. I mean, that Ron Howard was so much more authentically what he was looking for in that role. So it's unfair to just tar him with the broad strokes and say, oh, he's not an actor's director. He wants to see you do it and then talk about it later. You'll ask him a question. I mean, is Luke sort of like getting jealous of this guy, hitting on the princess all the time? He's getting under my skin. Just do it. I mean, and we'll talk about it later. And then, of course, you don't talk about it later. But
and you had already had Susan Day the year before. So,
but in contrast, J.J. Abrams is much more of a upbeat kind of. He's much more loquacious. He's engaged and he loves the process so much. And George is much more, I think, focused and serious and looking at it from a different perspective.
Hey, Mark, at any point during the filming of Episode 7, did JJ look at you and say, "Good, do it again, but faster and more intense"?
No, but someone's been doing their homework.
Hey, Mark, my name's Kat. I host a show on this network called Jedi Alliance. It's about some space movies you were in. But question, as a nation of fans, we're so excited the band is back together. But would there have been anything that would have kept you coming back to this role? Anything that you could imagine?
Oh, quite easily. In fact, my first instinct was, as always, don't try and toy with what was good and nice and fun. I mean, I didn't. I never expected they would go back to these characters. I mean, I thought it wouldn't be out of the question to do more episodes, but certainly focus on a new generation. And in a way, it sort of is. I mean, it's about the new generation, and we're, I think we give perspective. I mean, it gives you scope of the. I mean, I think it's George always envisioned seeing these characters, grow and age and be different than they were before. But I thought, it's too high risk. I mean, it's going to be great no matter what. So, why mess with that? And I thought, well, I won't do it unless everybody else is on board. If Harrison doesn't want to do it, if Perry doesn't want to do it, that was my feeling, because it's all or none. And as it turned out, they all
it's all.
Yes.
I hate that I have to say that we have to let you go. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you. And guys, you have to make sure that you check out Kingsman and check out Mark Hamill in that movie. And everyone here, obviously, and everyone watching will be checking out The Force Awakens. But Mr. Hamill, before we let you go, we had a lot of requests from Schmoeville, and I'm sure you've been seeing the love they've been giving you on Twitter. Is there any shot we can get you giving Schmoeville a shout out as the Joker?
Oh, you mean on the air right now?
Do you mind?
Well, I've worked with many schmoes over the years. They're my sidekicks and friends, so I adore them. All the schmoes of the world unite. Joker's here, and he's glad he is.
Oh, my so great. Mark Hamill, you have just made everybody here. By the way, please say hello to Nathan. I love that he's a fan of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you are in studio, please come join us. And thank you so much.
It was an honor,
Thank you, schmoes. I enjoyed it.
Mark Hamill, ladies and gentlemen. Follow him at Hamill himself. Thank you so much.
Bye now.
Bam! Wow!
How about that?
Get up here! Get up here! Get up here!
Mark Hamill.
Motherfucker!
Luke Skywalker! Don't fuck me!
Oh my God!
The Access Hollywood guy is losing it. Who brought the Access Hollywood guy?
This is the reason.
Wrecking shop.
This is the reason why we had Mark Hamill on the program.
Like a cocaine donkey. That's great.
Who's the Joker now? I mean, this is. I haven't seen Mance have that much energy since he crushed karaoke at Barney's.
Scott Mance making dreams come true.
If you're newer to the program or you're not sure what hurricane just blew through here, Scott Mance from such programs as Access Hollywood and our own profiles on this very network is how we got in touch with Mark Hamill. We were able to get him hooked up and call into the show. And I mean, now that we can kind of sit back and take stock of what just happened a little bit, that was like one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do in my entire life. And I think that we're professional enough to, when you're talking to the guy, you can maintain some semblance of at least not fanboying out too hard. But now that you get a chance to reflect, it's like I'm thinking about my entire family. I'm thinking about all my friends that never knew me.
Oh, my brother. I'm going to call my brother as soon as I'm done with this.
They all know how big of a fan I am and how big of a fan we are. And the fact that I just got to talk to that guy,
I was
it's
just
like...
hanging out in the chat.
And it was so cool.
They were going, Schmoeville was going nuts.
Yeah, especially
so cool.
for the Joker voice.
Yeah.
Everyone loves that. And
That's-
to hear him talk about Star Wars, I mean, I think he's excellent at giving you enough.
Yeah, he knows what he can say and what he can't say. Sure.
I love that he went there.
We got a nice little tidbit from the Partridge Family. Who knew that was going to come out?
You know what he does is that he does so great with fan service.
He's
Like he
lovely.
knows what the fans want to do, and he knows how to. He's not like distant from them, and he embraces it. And he was so. I mean, he watched our review. How cool is that?
That's very
the fact
cool.
that Mark
I forgot
Hamill-
about that.
The fact that Mark Hamill watched our Kingsman review.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm taking home forever.
Yeah.
And I could have talked to him forever. You know, it's him sitting here not just because it's Luke Skywalker, but the fact that he gave. You just listening to him, and you're like, "Oh man, just keep talking."
He was really fascinating.
Oh, he
Even
really
though
was.
I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, I found him so fascinating. I know, Ken, but Godfather, you have to watch it. But you guys, I mean, you're supposed to have him for 10 minutes, and he kept talking because he had fun. So
And he didn't seem like he was being Inquisition at all.
I was trying to not be like I in my head. I'm going, should we just talk to him until he wants to go himself? I'm like, no, we gotta go.
My two favorite parts of just watching you guys talk was Ken had a great question and just you drop the mic and you walk out of Dodge on your horse like that. Watching Christian tell Luke Skywalker what is and what isn't
cool
canon
is that?
was like the coolest thing, and it's like you were the master and he was the learner.
I was just like, oh yes, so do your voice.
Okay, Mr. Hamill, there's 2 novels to come out, and then Marvel's got Disney comic books, and 2 of those have been released too. If you want to come over to my house later, we can talk about it.
I felt like I was 8 years old. I felt like it was like the nice uncle that comes over and he's just like, oh, so tell me about your toy. What is it?
Yeah.
Well, the new dawn, and then you get Target, and I was like going crazy.
Hey,
and,
I know how you feel. I got to speak with Francis Ford Coppola,
Right.
and that to me is like my favorite moment ever. And you see me going, whoa, when he answers, same as I saw you guys when you were talking to him. You're like, whoa, this is happening.
It just that was a dream come true.
That's like, it's not a career moment; it's a life moment.
It is. I mean, it's like, look, I hope.
Did you ever think when you were young that you would ever get to talk to him?
Well, yeah, because I was going to be playing Han Solo's son in the new Star Wars, and when I was 10 years old, I figured I'd be on set.
Take it easy, Jason.
But you never thought that, and now you have. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty damn cool.
It was really,
Thank you,
really
Scott
cool.
Mance.
Yes, thank you, Mansman. That was a big,
some strings.
I need a
big
drink.
It was really great.
And it made me excited, even if I could possibly be even more excited, which I don't think is possible, to want to go see Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
What he said in response to Ken's question about, is there anything that would prevent you from being in this movie? And he's like, hell yeah. If I didn't think it was good, or I didn't think I was serving a purpose, if the whole band wasn't coming back, if this wasn't suited to my character, I would not have come back, because he's talking about the perfection that is the original trilogy.
So that makes me kind of confident we got something good coming.
Yeah,
We got something good.
I think so too. And from just the confidence in what he was saying in the and I've heard him talking. He didn't talk about it on this, but the previous interviews about working with this new cast. And like, I'd love to. The next question I wanted to ask him, I wanted to ask him about working with Andy Serkis. Like, and if he asked, my question I wanted to ask, I just couldn't get to, is I wanted to ask him the question of who would win in a fight between Luke Skywalker, Darth Bane, who he played in Clone Wars, and Darth Plagueis, and see if he would answer.
Okay, so you got Darth Plagueis, and then Darth Bane comes in.
Darth Bane created the rule of two. He brought it to forefront.
And then Bill Murray from Caddyshack.
What I think we should all do is tweet at Hamill himself and thank him for being so lovely.
Great point.
Everybody out there.
Right now, please,
Show him
please,
some
please,
love.
go show how. If you're probably already doing it anyway, but at Hamill himself, thank him for being on the Schmoes No Show, and then we got to get him back. I want to get him in live studio. We got to get him back.
That's it's a goal.
Yeah, we got to get him back. I want to talk to him live in studio, not just because you could have that guy on for 2 hours.
Oh yeah,
talk to him forever.
He's got great stories from before Star Wars came out. I mean, the American Graffiti stuff, which is like something that's
so interested.
It's new to hear that to me. And so the guy, he's had a fantastic career. Make sure you guys give the movie that he's in this weekend business. Don't just go see Force Awakens. Kingsman is great. You can go see our review that we filmed before this conversation we just had with Mark Hamill. We love this movie, and he's great in it.
Yeah, it's true. And Tiffany lost her mind too when you could hear Mark Hamill was like, "I'm a comic book fan too," and he starts rattling off that knowledge. Hold on, Tiffany.
When he started talking about the DC universe, and I was sitting here, I literally go, I just want to have him do the Joker voice. I just want to hear the Joker voice, because when he talks, you can hear the Joker in there, and it's a voice that I'm so familiar with. Yeah. And so you never know when it's voice actors if they're willing to just like jump into the character like that. So
often they're not.
Yeah.
Right?
When you're like, will you do it? I was just like, oh man. And I literally just came off set for DC All Access today, and we had to do a video of us doing the Joker laugh. So I'm like, my poor impression of the laugh, and then hearing him do it. It's pretty epic.
It was really cool to hear him do it. And what I want to do is, and JT, we're probably already working on it. We're gonna get a picture of the Joker, and then we'll play that clip, and we're gonna run that. Like, I think that we should intro the damn show with it.
We're running that baby out of the ground.
I think you just intro. I've won with a lot of schmoes, and I'm like,
you should.
Kidding me? But I think that's the beginning of the show from now on.
Yeah, I mean, look, you talk about when Chris and I started this crazy roller coaster of Schmoes. No, it's like if you could have your
we
short
could get Ken Knapsack, much less Mark Hamill.
Ken wouldn't. We didn't get Ken for a long time, if you recall. You look at who do you really want to talk to, and not only who do you want to talk to, but who do you think would make you nervous talking to them, and who do you think would live up to the hype of because you never want to meet your heroes. Like, very rarely. I've had the fortune of meeting some people I've looked up to my entire life, and usually it pays off, and you get really lucky, and you walk away from that conversation being like, thank God they didn't disappoint me. This might have been the best example of somebody taking all the expectations I ever had and knocking it out of the stadium.
Here's my question. Were you nervous, or you felt like you knew him?
I was.
He put me at ease immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. Yeah.
I will have to take a break though to clean up the urine underneath this chair.
Should have had the plastic.
Yeah, Tiff.
Like, for everybody who is watching the show, I'm sitting here, and as soon as he got on the phone, Christian's face, I've never seen you smile so big. I've never seen your cheeks get so red.
I felt like I was 8 years old. My dad called me when he heard that I was having Mark Hamill on the show, and he's just like, he said to me, he goes like, you were horrible in movie theaters. Like, when I was younger, I would run up and down. When he took me to see Empire Strikes Back, I was like this.
The whole time. Yeah.
I just sat through it, and then he just back and forth. We were just going, Luke, I'm your father. No, I'm Luke Skywalker. And we did this whole thing.
Did you say Mother F, or did you get grounded for saying such language?
Grounded.
You know what would be on the show Jedi Alliance, the best Star Wars podcast around? I'd love to discuss his theories of Luke. That was some great fan fiction. Yeah. That he wanted Luke to maybe go to the dark side, do some dark things, and go, oops, sorry.
When you hear that, and then you start speculating, which is what Christian and I do fairly often.
Tonight I'm going to go home and write some fan fiction that's going to rule.
But it's going to be turned into a sex novel.
I mean, I'll accept whatever storyline is given to me in Episode 7, but again, the guy that I grew up with was always a good guy. Luke Skywalker was. You can see moments in Return of the Jedi when he's getting close to teetering with the dark side, but then he never goes there. Will he have gone there by the time Episode 7 rolls around? Will he go there in Episode 7?
He always said said he wanted Luke to show up in Jedi with sleeves, big buff, scar, shaved head, and an earring. He wanted this like
Brian Bosworth as Luke Skywalker.
He went on some adventures between episodes 5 and 6, and we don't know what it was type thing. But, George said, no, we're not going to do that.
He just seems like a kind guy, and I like the fact that everyone on Force Awakens, there seems to be a lot of love for Star Wars.
But not even necessarily
really
with the cast. From what the rumors are, we'll find out later on. But like that, everyone involved, crew, they're just like kids,
They'd
like
be
we
like
were.
Your face when you talk to Mark. They're like, I can't believe I'm making a Star Wars
I think
film.
that's what it is. And when you have that kind of love and that kind of energy, you're got to be on the page with Ken. I think we're getting something great because. I don't feel that was the feeling on the prequels. I wasn't there. I don't know. It might have seemed a little bit more corporate. Again, I don't know. Speculation, what that book says, that seems to be the feel. This doesn't seem like that kind of feel.
Well, Star Wars is the reason JJ got into filmmaking.
Right.
Absolutely. And again, it is coming from a fan's perspective. And I think that, you asked me if I was nervous talking to Mark Hamill. I wasn't nervous talking to him. I'm nervous for wherever the footage for episode 7 is. I want to know, I want those SD cards protected. I want them saved. I don't want Nicolas Cage from National Treasure robbing them.
I got to have dinner with JJ Abrams. This is before the Star Wars situation.
Everything we do, you always outcool it.
It was for the Star Trek 2. I was one of only 8 journalists who got to go on the set, and I was invited by JJ. And
When's he
had
coming on
dinner
this
with
show?
him. I sat down with him, and he showed me 8 iPads, and he says he often edits on the iPads, and he doesn't leave his side.
Oh Jesus! Don't tell me that. Don't tell me this is an iMovie.
He transfers into the iPad so he can do a rough edit to see how it looks on
cool.
set, but he makes sure that he protects them at all times.
Hey guys, I left episode 7 in Starbucks. Anyone see it?
All right, with that, got to break this up. This is one of the coolest things ever. By the way, you guys, you talk, and one of the things, and I talked to Mance about this when he came on board, being part of the crew, and Alicia, and we talked to Miri, myself, you, the 4 of us talked about this the other day. What makes this show so special? We're not just saying this. Schmoeville, you guys are just such a great audience. You show so much love. There's so much respect in this chat room. Everything that you guys did, that you guys were acting the same way we were up here. Thank you for that. Thank you for everything that you do. The reason that we got Mark Hamill was because of you guys. So thank you very much. We're going to go to break. When we get back, Tom Dagnino makes a special appearance, and he's going to be
that'll bring us back down to earth.
A true or false story, and the Mance Man will be finding out if it was true, and it somehow relates to Mark Hamill. Stay tuned.
DC Universe! We are DC Movie News. I'm Adam Gertler.
I'm Roxy Stryer.
I'm Johnny LaQuasto. We are your weekly source for all news and rumors related to Warner Brothers' upcoming slate of DC movies. There's a lot of them coming.
Yes, and we're playing with the toys on the table right now, paying attention to Adam, of course.
That's an Adam West bobblehead. What other show can offer you that? This is true. There's a lot of movies coming from DC and Warner Brothers over the next few years. We have to wait till 2016 till they get here, but we're going to talk about them week after week. Rumors upon rumors upon rumors.
And make sure you find us on iTunes and YouTube at Popcorn Talk.
And we also embrace awkward silence.
You found the Jedi Alliance on the Popcorn Talk Network, the celebration of the greatest saga ever told.
Where can you find us? Glad you asked. You can subscribe to us on the YouTube page, just search Popcorn Talk, and we're also on iTunes, just search Jedi Alliance.
And if you're on iTunes, subscribe, rate, and review. Follow us on Twitter at Jedi Alliance SK and the Popcorn Talk. Don't forget, we also have Instagram.
And Facebook. So give us a like and a follow, and like some more, and then press like.
Please continue to listen to the Jedi Alliance because many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Poor Bothans.
Hello, we're the Marvel Movie News team. My name is Matt Key.
I'm Meredith Placco.
And I'm Matt Cook. You can join us here every Thursday night where we discuss and dissect all the Marvel movie news from the week. The name pretty much says it all.
We also talk television, everything from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Sony, Fox. If it's going on in the comic world and the movie world in Marvel, we have it here.
So tune in and nerd out. It'll be fun. It'll be a great time. You can catch us on youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network or find us on iTunes and subscribe to the podcast.
All right, let's.
Well, a
I'm
human
just
being,
saying.
that's up for debate.
It's
We
a
got
little bit of divide
Here's a
for
lot of
Ninja
DNA
Turtle
tests.
Let's start it up. Round 1, fight.
Copster will be going first. The 90s, what 80s star played Joe Pesci's nephew on trial for murder in My Cousin Vinny?
JT's losing his mind.
Wait, hold on.
He's doing the
his
shit
nephew?
thing.
Yeah, who played his nephew? JT's punching the
Karate
wall.
Kid. Ralph.
We'll get it to it.
Who plays Jean-Claude Van Damme's uncle in the modern-day classic Hard Target?
JT knows it. Look at JT. He's dying back there. He's dying. He's just like, I know Christian's going to give me hard ones.
What actor plays the uncle, the Cajun uncle who's had a gun and a Gatorade it?
3, 2.
Jesus.
He has diabetes. Wilford Brimley.
Jesus is incorrect.
Jesus is incorrect.
Yeah. Good guess, though. Copster.
It came out in 2000.
Okay, Copster's sci-fi question. Name a color. Any color. Just name a color.
Yeah.
Copster, here's another question you will not be answering correctly.
Yeah.
What iconic musician plays Needles in Back to the Future Part 2 and 3? What iconic musician?
That's correct.
I know my Back to the Future.
All right, okay.
I know my
That's
Back
correct.
to the Future.
Okay.
All right, JT.
Signs of life.
JT, what type of dinosaur was sick in Jurassic Park? What kind of dinosaur?
Triceratops.
Oh, no! Triceratops!
I win.
What is it?
I don't believe what I just saw.
JT dropped the worst mispronunciation
in the history of dinosaurs.
And it's a Triceratops for the loss.
He'll never be a tour guide in a museum. It's over.
To get a 5.
Triceratops.
It's not
We
a
have 2 no-shows and 1 sick Triceratops.
Triceratops
Okay.
is no correct. Okay. Schmoes know movies with the RoboCop score blaring in the background.
Today, do you think we just talked to Peter Weller? Like, what's with the RoboCop?
Triceratops!
Funny moment.
It's the Schmoes Know Movie Show. We're here with Scott Movie Mance, who is the man. It is the Mance man. And dude, you made Mark and my dream come true. Thank you so much. And this is a dude. Listen, this is a guy who he and I have been on the phone many times, and he legitimately is a Schmoevillian.
I love Schmoeville. Schmoeville, like ever since you introduced me to Schmoeville, Alicia, I feel like I have a second home.
Yeah.
The Schmo fans are the best.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are the best. Like what
Yes.
you just said, how loving they are, how respectful they are. They're so supportive. There's no haters in Schmoeville. They're just like us, and that's what makes us so proud to do profiles every single week. And while you're at it, please go to our Facebook page, Profiles
Nice
with
plug.
Malone and Mance,
VC.
and like us. Like our Facebook page.
I'm going to do some plugging myself.
Best movie podcast
now-
around.
Yes, it is.
Mark, look at this. Look what I got.
Oh, it's a
got a
box of
box.
something.
It's a box
What's in
of
the
something.
box?
Is Mark Hamill in the box?
No, what's funny is if you look, and you've been looking, people have been like, "Hey, look, Christian has a the Force Awakens T-shirt on. Mark's got a shirt on as well."
I have this is a Better Off Dead. If you've ever seen the John Cusack film with the burgers and the Van Halen dream in the beginning.
$2.
Hold that.
Yes, sir.
I want my
this for a second.
$2.
Yeah, I want to show you this. Look at how awesome this thing is.
Okay, now that's a. Oh my God, that's
cool.
These are all mine, right?
Yeah, these are yours.
That's a
This
Boba
came
Fett
from our-
shirt.
So if you guys, we've been talking about the
Wow.
store that we opened, this the tpublic.com/schmoes, and this was done by a fan. This design was done by a fan. We put it
I
up
love
on
this
it's
one.
so-
I feel like
it's
it's Christmas.
Look how cool this is.
It's
got
so cool.
It has like.
Oh, that is awesome.
It's got a whole bunch
that
of
is
movie
very cool.
designs,
Movie
and this is
updates.
all you can get this on the store. But
And that
it's
one's
like-
mine too.
I
that
want
one's
that
yours.
one.
All right.
Yeah, you want that one
And
too?
I want that guy to design me a tattoo. Like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I'm thinking about getting a tattoo.
And we have
Should.
and
We'll go
some other
together.
shirts, but look at this one. This is my. I gotta get his name right. I'm gonna tweet this out. Andres is a fan. Andres Turbay. I always met. He's got a YouTube channel, and if you go to the store and you look at this design of
This
the
is
whole
awesome.
crew, you will.
That's
see,
fantastic.
Yeah, and by the way. And I have his YouTube link and everything too. I want to hook this guy up for doing that design. He said we can make the shirt of it. This shirt,
Thank you.
We're going to give away tonight to a fan, and Mark Ellis is performing at the Gotham Comedy Club, correct?
Yeah, next Thursday I'm doing a live TV set, so you can watch it on Access Television at 10 p.m. East Coast time. It's a cool show. It's called Gotham Comedy Live, and it happens live. You guys can still get tickets, so I want to implore Schmoeville to, whether you're going or not, if you tweet at Gotham Comedy and let them know that you can't wait to see me, 5150 Ellis, perform that night.
Yes.
And if you show up to the show live, if you're in the New York City area, the tri-state area, if you guys go to the show live, it's one show next Thursday night, 10 p.m. You can get tickets at my website, markellislive.com. If you go, there's a meet and greet afterwards where you can hug a sweaty schmo in person.
There you go.
And the first person to come up at the meet and greet and ask me to have the shirt, I'm going to give you one of these shirts too. So you get one of those.
I love how
live.
JT is like this in the
Yeah,
background.
he's flailing.
Yeah.
I might be using the shirt to towel off my forehead after my set, but then the shirt is all yours.
Hey,
So
that
It's
makes
amazing.
it better.
You know, it's so much fun.
Don't make it more valuable. Don't watch it.
I don't know.
right.
I don't know if you've seen this yet too, but what's so much fun with this store is you can make your own designs too.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the Oscar snubs, and we're like, what's the biggest Oscar snub this year?
Lego movie.
Lego movie. So we have a design that it's exclusive to the Schmoes. You can only get it on our store, and it'll only be available until after the the day after the Oscars. JT, throw up the design. It's up there. Man's will be able to see it in a second over
these
here.
shirts even smell good.
But you see that, and it is Emmett flicking off the Oscar, and it says everything is not awesome. So you can only get that until the day after the Oscars, and it's gone. So go ahead and check it out. And right now it's
cool.
$14. So go check it out.
Cool.
But that's it. That's the store. Now,
that.
I don't think the last time you were on the store, there was a character that used to be on the show called Finstock.
I remember Finstock.
He died.
Rest in peace, Finstock. That was a horrible day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was very sad.
No.
You were not.
I missed the death too. I heard about it. I was on the road. I heard about it. He passed away, and I missed the funeral. Ken
We had an obit
drinking.
ready to go on Access Hollywood that night, but I think somebody else died and it took precedence over Finstock.
Yep.
Sorry, Finstock.
Well, but Finstock died.
Good riddance.
And there was two questions. One question was Alicia said, well, I don't have to go out with anybody anymore. You still got to go out with somebody. And joining us is that somebody. Bringing now to the table, to the podium, his first appearance, I guess, as Tom Dagnino, the host of Box Office Breakdown. Tom Dagnino.
Tom Dagnino. Let's hear it.
Leave it to be.
What a nice theme song.
Hey, Tommy.
Barbara Billingsley.
It's a great theme song you got there. A glass of wine. Very classic.
Can I point out that the glass of wine still has Sylvester Stallone's visage
Did you bring
upon it?
enough for the rest of the class?
He gave me some wine.
You can take the Finstock out of Tom. You can't take the Tom out of Finstock. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, I've stepped up. It's now
Cheers.
a wine glass.
Cheers.
With Stallone's face on
to you,
it.
Tom.
Tom, let me
Cheers to you.
Thank you, Scott.
Tom, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Before because we're gonna you have a story tonight that you're gonna tell Mance, and
great.
Mance is gonna say what he thinks is true, what he thinks is false.
Okay.
Before we get into that, how has your life been since dropping Finstock from your life?
Oh, I'm flourishing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm flourishing like the Cubans.
No.
And our relations with Cuba has gotten a lot stronger since the passing of Finstock. But were there a couple days there where you're just sitting in your apartment ordering Chinese food in your underwear, not knowing what to do next?
Yes, I was shell shocked for a little while. It was a tough transition.
Yeah.
Not as tough as like a couple of other people on this earth is going to be, but yeah, it was tough.
How are the fans relating to that? How are they supporting it?
I think it's 50-50.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who like Tom, and I think if I could find a delicate balance,
yeah,
we're going to have a special person in here.
Well, we got a special person here right now.
We sure do.
Right now.
Yes.
We like Tom.
Speaking of Alicia liking Tom, when is the date going to happen between you and Alicia?
Oh, whenever she wants. Like, obviously Valentine's Day is...
It's coming.
Saturday. Right. Well, I say we set it up, we tape it, maybe a nice dinner or something. We go to somebody's place.
I feel less scared of going out with
Tom than you did
because me and Tom have hung out outside of the show.
Right.
I like Tom. It was Finstock I was worried
Yeah,
about.
I quit hard liquor.
You have to be
hard liquor
careful.
too.
You might be going to the Red Room by the end of that date. But let's.
Yeah, you never know.
Possible. I mean, first of all,
Maybe
I
I'll
thought it
wear
was
the
gonna-
mask. What?
Whoa!
Look at this. Now we're talking. I thought it was going to be hard to follow Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
But now I got to follow Scott Mance too.
I know.
Who went totally bananas.
All right, so Scott Mance is
That was bananas.
It was great.
So Scott, you were actually the first person to ever play the Is It True game with Tom Dagnino. He's never done this before. Finstock has. But Tom has never.
Is Tom as tricky as Finstock? Is he a liar as well?
But the reason this is happening is because he called me today and he said, listen, I got a story but I got a good story that relates to what's going on. So
that happened. Yeah, but again, I got to interject here. I know Finstock's dead. Okay, but this guy looks a lot like Finstock under the beard mask, and so now you say he's coming in and telling a story. And I'm just supposed to believe this?
Let's got to hear it. So let's go to the story.
Let's hear the story, Tom.
So we got to get to our new game also.
For everybody who doesn't know what I do, I'm like a wolf, like Pulp Fiction for like the company I work for.
Stanley Kubrick.
You drive really fucking fast, don't you?
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah, okay.
So so my buddy, my boss is like, hey, I need you to drop this confidential script off to this A-list movie star's house. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that, whatever. So I've been there before, driving, press the gate. Yeah, it's a nonchalant house. It's not like a block long or anything like that. So I post the kid. I'm like, hey, Tom from blah, blah, blah to deliver blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, okay. So I go in. Gate's open. There's like landscapers over here. Somebody fixing a fountain over here. Like a car up on like a jack and stuff. I'm like, what is going on here, right?
What, so like the South? Like there's like
yeah.
Tell a good story already.
Let him finish.
So I'm just painting pictures here. Yeah. So I go and knock on the door, right? And I've been there a couple of times already.
The music's amazing.
Great sound effect.
Yeah, I go in there a couple of times. So it's always like a maid answers the door. A-list celebrities do not answer their own door, okay? So I'm sitting there like thumbing through the script. I'm like, wow, what a piece of junk this is. The door opens, and right in front of my face, as I turn to the left, Harrison fucking Ford.
True story. True story.
It's not over yet. Wait, it's not over.
That's not it?
That's not it yet.
No, it's not it.
Wait.
So I've hung around with A-list celebrities. I've drank with them. I've even slept with some of them. Okay. So that being said, I was so scared because I wasn't expecting it to be him. I was like, he's like, how you doing, Tom? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, thanks for this thing. I'm going, we're taking a little trip to Colorado on Valentine's Day. I'm going to read this over the holidays. I really appreciate bringing it here. And I finally got my wits about me, and I was like, crazy story. Because we looked like we were like a standoff. Like, am I supposed to say bye to you? Yeah, or something like that. He's sitting in there with no shoes on and like this V-neck thing and like a pair of shorts with a screwdriver in his hand. So I'm like, all right. So I was like, crazy thing. I'm on this podcast and we have Mark Hamill's calling in today. He's like, oh, Mark's a good guy. Mark's going to give you a great interview. He's solid on the interview side.
True. Not over.
So I go. This sounds crazy because it was in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, can I use your bathroom? And he's like, why is that weird? He's like, what let you piss on my lawn? He's like, yeah, it's right on the right-hand side. So I go in there. I go to the bathroom, shut the door, and I'm like, I'm pissing. And I'm like, I'm taking a piss in Harrison Ford's house.
Harrison Ford's house?
Like, what is going on here, right? So I shut the door behind me, and I'm like, I can't believe this. I'm looking at my phone like that's going to do something. I don't even remember if I even took a pee. I'm not even sure. So I go to open the door. I'm like, the door wasn't opening. I'm like, what is going on here? So it might have been like 30 seconds, but it felt like 6 minutes that I've been there. Like, what is going on? So he's like, hey, kid, you all right in there? And I'm like, I think I'm locked in. He goes, you got to press the Falcon. And I go, what?
Oh my God.
I pressed the Millennium Falcon up to the right-hand side, like a little like thing. I pressed the nose of it. The door unlocks. I go out. He's like, I should have told you that beforehand. He puts his arm around me. We're walking outside the house. He's like, you can tell your friends you got locked in Harrison Ford's bathroom. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good story. Meanwhile, I drove home. I think I blew every single red light and stopped. I don't even remember how to get there.
So that's it. That's the story.
Yeah.
All right.
So now, what do I have to do?
You can say what parts of this story do you think are true? What parts do you think are false?
I was with you every step of the way, brother, until you came to the Falcon thing.
Okay.
I was with you when you started imitating his voice. Okay. I'm like, God, who could that be? And the way Harrison Ford sounds these days, that's what he sounds like.
Very grumpy.
And he's a grumpy old man, and he is a tough guy to interview, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones are the toughest people to interview.
That's why he's got a screwdriver.
So you think he did actually meet Harrison Ford?
I think you met Harrison Ford, but once you talked about the thing with the bathroom getting locked in and putting his arm around you.
Yeah, he's not a toucher.
So first of all, he shows up there. It is Harrison Ford.
Yes.
He does go into the house.
No. The Mark Hamill, I want to know.
No. Yeah, I believe that story too, because he told you Mark Hamill was going to give a great interview, and he fucking did.
Right. Exactly. So then the penetration into the house. Did he make it into Harrison Ford's house?
But he said he did get in the bathroom, but he didn't get locked in there. What did you know? What?
I don't think you made it into the house.
You don't think you didn't get into the house?
No, you didn't get into the house. You definitely didn't get into his bathroom, dude. I don't think you got into his house. I don't think he's going to invite you. Probably took the script. Boom, you're out of there, buddy.
All right.
Come on.
So Tom?
Everything is correct.
Yes!
Until I did not go into the house. You're right. Yes,
answer.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
But it was Harrison Ford.
It was I couldn't believe I was so
You
starstruck.
lost-
I've never, and I was like, it was so ironic that we were, going to interview Hamill today. I was just like, I had to say something to him.
And you dropped the Hamill thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's 100% the
That's
truth.
what I mean.
That's 100% the
He
truth.
well, he texted me. He said, dude, you got to call. I called him up.
Yeah.
And he couldn't talk. So when we talked,
I was
about,
really shook.
And then he's like, I got a story. And we fabricated the rest of it. But the beginning of it was so.
Can I want to make a point here. I am so glad that Finstock died when he did, because if Harrison Ford sees a beard mask guy dropping off the script,
I went just like this.
Hey guys, I'm going to ask you once and for all on tonight's show, who is the man?
Tom!
This guy!
Is the man.
This guy! Right? I had it down. I knew you didn't fucking get into his house.
No, I did not.
No
I
way.
might. Next time, I'm going to, though. Because there's going to be a hell of a lot of rewrites on this script.
I think I actually got you a new nickname tonight, the Cocaine Donkey.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love that one.
Can you imagine if Matt took
I would wear that. Wait, if you make
If
that.
Billy Bush says
wait a
Cocaine
minute.
Donkey, we're gonna
If
lose
you
your mind.
put that on a fucking t-shirt, I will wear it.
Cocaine
I
Donkey.
will wear Cocaine
Leanne,
Donkey.
Leanne, make a Cocaine
Do this.
Donkey
Yo,
shirt.
Cody, vote for Spider-Man, buddy boy. You're Spidey. Go, Peter Parker.
You wear that on Access Hollywood, you'll be sitting on the couch. All right, listen.
Just spell it with a K.
Let's calm down for a second. Hey, Cody, you know what I want you to do? Why don't you give Tom the taglines? Let him read them out, and Tom can be the host.
Yeah, we're going to play a new game now.
Got a
It's
new
a
game.
brand new game to Schmoeville, and it's called, I guess, the Tagline game, because what it is, I guess Tom is going to read off the tagline from a movie poster. So when a movie poster comes out, I'll give you an easy one that shouldn't be on there. Die Hard 2, Die Harder.
Yeah.
So he's just going to say Die Harder, and we have to guess
Got to buzz in.
what the movie is. Now, your name is your buzzer. So as soon as you think you know the answer, you buzz in saying your name. Scott or Cocaine Donkey, Christian, Mark, Alicia, or Red Fury.
Yeah, so, and you cannot, if someone else gets it first, you can't leap in on them. So everybody just, once the name's out there.
We had a great interview with Mark Hamill. Let's hold it together for 5 more minutes.
Right now we'll play to 3 unless somebody gets it real quick, and we'll play to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, go ahead.
Yes.
First one. How'd you play that ridiculous music again? It was great.
Adrian. No, I'm kidding. The longer you wait, the harder
Mark
gets.
Mark, 40-year-old virgin.
That's correct.
Wow.
Whoa!
Oh, that's
Cheers.
Impressive.
40-Year-Old Virgin came out in 2000.
That's not this game. That's not this game. That's not this game.
No, Christian knows that.
It's not
Christian
this
knows
game.
that.
It's not this game. It's not this game.
Sorry.
I want a Cocaine Donkey shirt, somebody said.
Somebody. With a K, spell it. The bitch is back.
Mark, mother-in-law.
That is incorrect.
Christian. Aliens.
Can you expand upon that?
Alien Resurrection.
No, I've still got it.
You got
Alien
it.
Resurrection.
You got it.
Yeah.
Damn,
Yes.
I gave it to you.
You did.
I gave it
But
to
you said Aliens,
I
which is a movie, which was incorrect. You said Aliens.
Yeah, but maybe he was going to say 3 before Scott interrupted him.
But Aliens
Yeah,
and
I gave
Aliens
him the
3.
answer.
I'll give
Just say
it
that
to
I gave him
you.
the
know what?
answer.
You know we had a great interview with Mark Hamill.
you're trying to
I'm not
shit
gonna.
on our
I'm not
parade.
gonna blue fairy you.
All right.
Okay.
It's the first game. Just because they serve you.
Christian.
Doesn't-
Waiting.
No.
Wait, finish it. What is it?
Just because they serve you and now you're eliminated. Just because they serve you doesn't mean they like you.
It's not waiting?
No,
Oh.
it's close.
Oh, shit.
doesn't mean they like you. I'm terrible at this.
This is tough, man.
Not easy.
When did it come out?
I got all right, I'll give you a hint. Is there hints?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I'll take a hint.
It's a guy who owns a comic book store.
Mark.
Oh, damn it.
Mark.
Clerks.
That's true.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. All right. I'm 1 away from victory.
Okay.
Damn it.
There are 3.7 trillion fish in the ocean.
Mark.
Oh,
Funny.
Mark.
Mance.
Splash.
No. No, he got
Mance.
it. No, Mark got it first.
Splash.
No, it's not
Mance.
true. And I'm not done
A
yet.
fish called Wanda.
No.
You're out there.
But I'm not done yet.
Fury.
I'll finish.
Let us. All right, Red Fury's called out too. Good.
There. Okay.
Wait, I want to hear it.
Okay. There are 3.7 trillion fish in the ocean. They are looking for one.
Funny Nemo.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
Way to go, Red
Nicely
Fury.
done.
Say that anyway.
All right.
There
All
you
right. Next
go.
one.
The last man on Earth is not alone.
Red Fury. I'm Legend.
That's true.
Wow.
Yes.
Now she's 1 away from the win too. Okay.
Ooh, this is a tough one. A romantic comedy with zombies.
Mance.
Mark. No, Mance got it.
Mance. Romantic comedy with zombies. That would be Shaun of the Dead.
That's correct.
Yes.
We done. You got 2. You got 2.
I got one.
Oh, 1.
It's
Okay.
1,
All
1,
right.
2, 2.
Yeah.
Man, is this the warmest place to hide?
Mark. Species.
Incorrect.
This is the warmest.
Wanted that one.
Christian. Biodome.
That's incorrect.
Mance. Sunshine.
That is incorrect.
Damn.
Red Fury? Yes.
Red Fury, it's all you.
That's a tough one.
The Core.
Close. The Thing.
That's good. Yeah, never seen it. Never
The
seen
Thing.
it.
Great movie.
Cocktails first.
Mark. Cocktail.
No. Questions later. Cocktails first.
Christian. Swingers.
Correct.
Oh, way to go!
All right. Three-way tie for 2 for the win.
Fear can hold you prisoner. Hope can set you free.
Oh, damn it.
Shawshank Redemption.
That's correct.
My
And here we got a winner.
favorite movie.
I am victorious,
You're the man.
and I'll tell you
Victory.
why. I'll tell you why. It's going to be a very quick victory speech because I know we got to go. I feel like I was destined to win tonight because we interviewed a guy who made movies that were all about following your destiny, and I am so thrilled to have won the game on the episode where we interviewed Mark Hamill. Thank you, Mr. Hamill, once again for such a great interview.
good.
And anybody who wants to congratulate me for winning the Tagline game in person, I'll see you at Live at Gotham Comedy Club next Thursday night in New York City. I'm coming back to New York for the very first time.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to give away one of these shirts right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put out a tweet from the Schmoes account. It's going to say, what a fun show. Thank you, Hamill himself, for joining us. Next, let's get on the show. Who? Give somebody else that we should put on the
William
show.
Shatner.
No, I don't know.
William Shatner. I will get him in studio.
Should we do?
You want Star Wars?
Yeah, well, we can do. You know what? Actually, you know what I'll do? All right, I'm wrapping it up, but I'm just gonna put thank you for Hamill himself, and I can do an announcement right now because I was gonna save it, but I'll do it now for the fans.
Ooh.
It looks like in 2 weeks from now, Simon Kinberg is going to be on the show live in studio.
Cool.
Simon
Ladies and
Kinberg,
gentlemen.
creator of Rebels. He's writing Fantastic Four, Days of Future Past. He's going to be in studio for about an hour.
That's a good one.
So that's about 2 weeks
Hang
from
on,
now.
I'm canceling my road gig in 2
yeah,
weeks.
exactly. So, okay, thank you, Hamill himself. Here comes the tweet. If you retweet that tweet, I will pick someone from that tweet, and one of you guys will win the shirt. So, thank you for one of the most show that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. Make sure that you check out myself, Alicia, and Mark on AMC Movie Talk. We're on there about 3-4 times a week. Alicia also AMCI.
AMCI Indie Spotlight, where we talk indie films, which are my jam.
And check out the Mance Man, who is on Access Hollywood and is the father of dreams. And then you have, you know what? Real quick, I'm sorry. I mean, we're going past the break. I don't care. I got to shout out to the B Team. Go to Schmo Plus.
Yeah.
They have been putting these little shorts on,
So good.
and you had
Short videos, not little shorts
One
on. That's
quick
totally
announcement.
right. Yeah.
One quick announcement. Next week on Profiles with Malone and Mance, we are spotlighting Will Smith, and we sat down with the man Will Smith on
There it is.
camera. Malone and Mance Profiles. Like our Facebook page.
Sorry, I'm Mance just shit on your plug. All right, guys. So with that,
Sorry
check
for
it out.
Spider-Man.
Make sure you subscribe here and pass on this interview. When I put it up, the Hamill, let every Star Wars fan know. Thank you so much. Peace out, Mother Fs.
From producers Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis, and the entire Schmoes Know crew, we would like to thank you for listening to the Schmoes Know movie show. Promotional consideration provided by the following: Luke Skywalker's green lightsaber and schmoesknow.com. Special thanks to Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos, the author of Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, in stores now. To watch or listen to other Schmoes episodes, get movie news, and join the conversation, be sure to visit schmoesknow.com. The views expressed were the opinions of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views of the network, especially anything Harrison Ford told Tom Dagnino. I'm the Pit Boss, and this has been a presentation of Schmoes Know.